I'm never satisfied with just living. I don't want to survive. I want a full tilt live.
Is there anything that you're scared of?
I'm scared of not living a full life. Like getting to that point of where you just kind of accept that you're comfortable and you don't challenge yourself anymore and you don't try to think outside the box. That scares me more than anything.
Why go to the extreme?
Is that not how everybody does it? I thought that's what everybody did.
To that extreme of like people are saying your mom's a bad mother or like they're attacking your family.
Yeah, when I looked in the mirror, I thought to myself, I feel bad for everybody around me. That was the worst part, that everybody else was getting cut up.
Yeah,
because I decided to host a talk show, or I decided to write a book. I decided to do something that my body was like, don't do it. 400 pounds came down on me, and my spine, pop, 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 pop. My vertebrae, you could see it. My discs popping out of my back. I was on 12 pills every 4 hours for like 6 months. If I wasn't in pain, I was heavily medicated. I was barely surviving for like a good 8 months. I could barely figure out how to get. There are days I went in the bathroom, I'm like, I should just kill myself.
What's the highest moment you've ever experienced? Like where you felt like you're, I'm at the top of my game right now. You said the Obama campaign, but then
yeah, a particular moment although I fumbled it a little bit, so it's kind of a high and a low. So what happened was there was the first black female voter was supposed to introduce Obama at this rally, and she couldn't show. She got sick that morning. So they came to me and they're like, can you do it? We know you can talk. And I was like,
wow.
They're expecting a 90-something-year-old black voter, and you want to put me in her place? Like, what are you thinking? So I did it, and it was awesome. It was.
So you introduced Obama?
Yeah, when he was still senator.
Wow.
He was still senator. And
what'd you say?
Oh, no idea. Like, honestly, just blacked out through the whole thing. But there's 100,000 people in this field.
Yeah.
And that's what I find that funny about American politics, because they always talk about how these they had 80,000 people, it's the largest rally ever. I'm like, not even close.
Yeah.
So I introduced him, he came out, and he comes walking out. He's super suave, right? Yeah. And he goes like this to me, and I'm like, yeah. And I went, whoa. And I kind of stumbled. I missed it from this.
I think she already asked that question.
The purgers are having their fun, killing people. So yes, anyways, that was a high. Also a low, because I fumbled a fist bump with the future president of the United States. But that was a pretty cool moment. Wow. Yeah. I also got his CD from his motorcade, his pump up CD, which had Nickelback on it.
That's what he listens to?
Yeah, it was Nickelback, Berry Gordy, Eminem. Okay. So he shadow boxed before he got on stage to Lose Yourself. So you'd be back there with the headphones on, just shadow boxing to it. And I was like, this is the coolest guy ever. You know?
I can't imagine Obama backstage just getting ready to.
Yeah, he's just, I mean, as cheesy as it sounds, he's just a regular guy.
Yeah. That's what a shadow box. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Are you gonna shadow box before this thing?
I shadow box before everything.
Before everything.
Yeah, I do. I almost shadow boxed the guy that blocked my parkade.
That's great. Is there anything that you're scared of? Like, what scares you?
Probably not in the most practical. I'm scared of not living a full life. Like getting to that point of where you just kind of accept that you're comfortable and you don't challenge yourself anymore, and you don't try to think outside the box. That scares me more than anything, because I've seen people settle into that. Like I've seen people that have tons of money, tons of resources, people around them that they love, and they just sit in their apartment and watch TV all day. I'm like, you are watching other people live their lives. Like you could easily just go out and do something fun or awesome, you know? And so that's why I'm an experience-based liver. That's just how I am. And I'll always be that way. Like I actually was scared of everything when I was a kid. So, and I got these tattoos when I was 18. It's Conquer Fear, Conquer Life in Egyptian hieroglyphics. And from that day forward, I jumped out of a plane. I was I wouldn't even get on a plane. I was so scared of them. So I got on a plane and I jumped out of it. I slept with this sword dangling above my head every night on fishing wire. And they say that once you conquer your fear once, you don't notice it anymore. And one day I came home and it was into my pillow. It fell down. So yeah, I just did all that kind of stuff.
Wait,
Just,
can we go back to that? What did you do?
so you put a sword above your head, above your pillow at night.
Okay.
And the first
Like a samurai sword.
it was
whatever
it was a colada,
Yeah,
a sharpened colada sword.
Like
yeah.
damn.
Yeah, like and it just dangles. And the first couple weeks, like you can't sleep. You're just looking at this point, this shiny point that every so often a light. I remember from my bedroom, a car would drive by in the back lane, and it would catch the light and ding with it would light up that tip, and I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna die, you know. And then, but a couple weeks after, you're just like, you don't even notice. I was just going to bed, wasn't even noticing. One time I hit my head on it because I just jumped in the bed because I forgot it was there, right? And then one day I came home.
And you did this all because you wanted to conquer your fear.
Yeah.
What fear?
Everything at that point.
But
I was just
why?
scared of everything.
Why?
I grew up very sheltered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
This chainsaw is going on. And this is what it's like to work here. It's scary. But yeah, I was just scared of literally my own shadow growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
And then I just decided that it made all the sense in the world to not live like that. And I didn't, again, it goes back to mediocrity and comfort, right? So if I find myself getting too comfortable, I'll knock myself right out of that zone.
What did childhood Jay look like? What was he doing?
Scrawny.
Right.
Very scrawny. Did not understand that if you do things, it tunes your body so that you can actually do things better. There was a lot of staying home, very introverted, very just, school. I wasn't good in school. And then I was bullied a lot, so I came up with excuses not to go to school, which started a path of lying, like coming up with reasons not to go to school. And then it became about coming up with reasons why I couldn't hang out with people. Then it became bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So then that was another hill I had to, not die on, basically. Yeah. So, and it became this interesting sequence of quiet, shy kid fighting to be who I am now. Because I could have never done anything like this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Probably up until my early 20s, I couldn't have, never. I would have been sweating. I probably would have thrown up. I just would have never been able to handle it. But that's what life is about, growth.
Right.
So I think it's all about just every day, what can I do to just 1%, just kick myself up a notch, just 1% every day.
Was there a turning point that wanted you to go this route of conquering your fears and noticing that, okay, I'm afraid of things, I'm not where I want to be? Was there an inflection point of that?
Yeah, well, growing up, I was always told people could do things because they had money. But then I started to realize around my 17th, 18th birthday, because I had started throwing parties and everything, started DJing, that I was like, oh wait, no, it's not about money, it's about the will to do it. Right? So I'll never forget, I was this terrible DJ when I was 14, 15, and somehow my name got out.
Okay.
And there was a DJ competition, a hip hop DJ competition at the Pyramid.
Yeah.
This is pre-Eminem, so this guy's not not welcome, right? So I get on the stage and I get booed off relentlessly, and then I'm setting everything into my parents' vehicle at the end of the night, and I get beat up, I get jumped, and they steal my turntables.
Oh.
So there was this DJ that was there, he took me under his wing, and a year later I came back and I won the contest. And I think that was probably a big moment for me, when I was like, oh, see, it's will, it's all will, it's not necessary. You can make money, you can always make money. And I know that sounds terrible, some people are like, no, it's not that easy, and sometimes it just isn't, but in my experience, it's been, money isn't what gets you to grow and be better and all that. It's your willingness to just push yourself. And then you'll realize, you're like, oh wait, I've been living with this stigma for so long. And it's just not true. We are our biggest limitation, 100%. Right? I'm sure you guys, when you first thought about podcasting, maybe when you first heard about podcasting, you're like, oh, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, that's how this started.
Yeah, and now you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So now what else can you do? Right? Maybe at the end of the day, you're gonna you'll be the thing that takes down CNN. You don't know, right? So, but it's just you'll never know unless you take that first step.
100%. And I think that's the optimistic delusion, the delusion of chasing something that maybe one day you can't even conquer
Yeah.
or hope to achieve, but there is that quote of like, I'd rather aim for the moon and then land in the stars.
Yeah.
You know, and
My
that's,
mom used to say it to me all the time. Yeah.
Which logically, if you think about it, doesn't make sense because
Yeah.
stars are further away than moon. But like, anyway.
Scientifically, it's the worst thing ever. But you know, it's absolutely.
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
metaphor,
No,
yeah,
I
yeah,
understand
yeah.
the meaning.
Most metaphors don't make any sense. Let's just establish that now,
Yeah,
because there's probably gonna be a few more here. I've always thought about like Steve Jobs, and people like that, right? And that's always what kind of kept. They started in a garage, and they didn't. Steve Jobs had no idea when Steve Jobs started in that garage that he would become Steve Jobs.
Right.
Of course.
You know, and can you imagine, like even when he was on his deathbed with cancer, can you imagine what he was thinking at the time? You know, like looking back at his life in a retrospective.
It's interesting. Do you think he was thinking about life, or you think he was still on that mindset of like, I want more and more?
I bet he was still like, what's the next thing I can,
Yeah.
what can I leave with that's gonna blow people's minds? Now, unfortunately, he picked Tim Cook, and that wasn't the best idea in the world, but you know, it ultimately in the end, it was, I think he was laying there saying, what's the last thing I can give this world? Because that's just how he was programmed.
Yeah.
Right? And now that's a guy who did not understand balance at all.
But do you think though he would in his deathbed be like, I wish I had more time. I wish I took all the fruits of my labor and actually enjoyed it.
Someone like him, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have met people who they are not programmed for personal lives. They don't have one, and they don't care. They don't want it. You know, we talked about Alex Hermosi before we started taping, right?
Yeah.
It's not that he doesn't have Layla's awesome, and he's got a good group of people, and he never skips dessert and all these things. We all know about him. But there's zero moments, 0 seconds in the day where he's like, I just want to chill.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I'm just going to work. That's what I'm going to do. I'm always going to work. And so I honestly believe there are people that are just, you know, it takes all kinds, right? And I think that we need those people that are constantly on.
Yeah.
I'm just not wanting to be one of those people. I was one of those people. I don't want to be one of those people anymore.
But is that the price you pay though? If you want to
Yes.
attain a set level
Yeah,
of success?
I think if you want to be Steve Jobs or you want to be Alex Hermosi, any of those guys, there's a lot of sacrifice.
Right.
And for a while there, I wanted to be someone like that. But you know what? I'm just kind of, there's just so much cool stuff out there to experience, you know? Like everybody always asks me what my dream trip is. And I said it would be probably 2025 Iraq or 2005 Iraq.
Okay.
They're like, what the hell? Like, what kind of answer is that? And I'm like, because when I ran Field of Heat, which was this 18 under event promotion company, there was all these kids coming from Iraq, and my understanding of Iraq until they talked to me was it always was just blown to bits and a terrible place to live. Then they showed me pictures, and it's parks like we have, and them going to school, and all these amazing moments in their lives that are just been torn away from them. So I was like, I would like to see what that's like, and then maybe figure out a way to help it, you know, help the situation along, but just to see the world from a completely different perspective. You know, that's why I want to go to space. That's why, you know, it's all about perspective. The first time I jumped out of a plane skydiving, I've done it hundreds of times now, but that first time when the guy's like, and you're just like, and that perspective of looking down, have you guys skydived?
No.
It's life-changing. You have to do it. I tell everybody, I'm like, I don't care how scared you are, do it. Yeah. I guarantee you everything changes from that day forward.
I've heard the Will Smith story of him skydiving where he's like, oh, the night before, let's go skydiving.
Yeah.
The day before, oh shit, we're going skydiving.
Yeah.
All the way to the moment you jump off, and then it's bliss.
100%. The first time I did it, the night before, I was like, okay, I got this, you know? And then around 4:30 in the morning, I was like, wait, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is so stupid. And then, you know, I thought in my head, with each tilt, because he counted down from 5, and then of course he jumped to 2. You know, each tilt I was like, I just gotta tell him I can't do this. I just gotta tell him I can't do this, right? And then now today, they open that door and I'm like, I'm running now, right? I've skydived without a parachute. I mean, and that's how we are, right? Again, I didn't think I could skydive. I skydived, then I skydived by myself, and then now I do extreme skydiving.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And that's like the baseline's shifted, right?
Yeah.
It's like people didn't think we could run a mile under 4 minutes until someone broke that record.
That's right, and it's kind of a blessing and a curse for us, right?
Right.
Because I mean, look at what humans have done since the beginning of time till now. Are you kidding me? But also, we're never fully satisfied.
Right.
You know, so that makes it very difficult to feel peace. So, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find peace at the end of the day.
Is that ever enough though? Like you did the skydiving. Okay, I did the skydiving. I check it off. Why do you have to go all the way to the extreme on that side? You personally.
Is that not how everybody does it? I thought that's just what everybody did.
To skydive without a parachute?
Well, I would think some people will skydive once and be like, okay,
like go
I'm
check
good,
it off
I'm
the
good.
bucket list.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did it. I conquered the
okay, I see
fear.
what you're saying.
Do I have to go 200 times? Do I have to go to the point of like, I want to jump out of this without a parachute. Now, first I'm doing tandem, then I'm doing alone, then I'm doing whatever the crazy things you've done.
I think I'm a weird mix of personality. I think I've got multiple personality disorder. It just doesn't come out in terms of like I snap in different things.
Sure.
So I'm an extreme nerd. So like I said, I build servers for fun, and I'm a science geek through and through. Like I was live tuning in when James Webb Space Telescope went up and everything, and I was a club guy. And then, I've got all these different politics, all these different sides to me, which made it very hard to figure out my career. But I think that because I've got all these different personalities kind of spinning around up here, that they're never fully satisfied.
Right.
So, and once one is, the next one clicks in. It's like, however, we could kick it up a notch by doing this, right? And a guy that works with me, Kyle, he's a producer of Fear. He loves the story of we were out doing doom buggies in the desert. And of course, he's just going along the sand dunes, whatever, and I see this one that's got like a 20-foot drop off. And I was like, I bet I could jump that. Right. First day in a doom buggy ever, right? But I was getting bored just driving around, right? So he's like, are you sure? Broke my wrist and messed up my back pretty bad, smashed the doom buggy to pieces in the front end, but man, the video is cool. So like, okay, I did it, it's fine, it's great, that I might not push anymore.
Yeah.
Although if I could drive a doom buggy off of a spaceship down, I'd probably do that. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd actually be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat.
Yeah, not a lot of people are willing to do that. Not a lot of people. And what do people around you think of you?
Well, my parents have given up on ever trying to figure me out.
Okay.
I remember, so I had a board seat with Canadians for 18 months of my life. And
what haven't you done, bro?
It was. My friends held an intervention because they realized how miserable I was, so that I would quit my job. But basically, what I learned through working with Canadians and then all my other experiences was. Oh my God! I lost my train of thought because something happened in the back. What did you say? So can we
We're going.
We're not live, so
we're going.
What was the question?
What do people around you think of you?
What do people around me think? That's what I was telling the Canadians.
Yeah.
So I was working Canadians on the board, and I remember Ron Ledahowski, who was part owner of Canadians, came over to my mom's place, and my dad was there, and my dad's like, finally, just clinking the champagne glass, right? Like, he got a normal job, you know? And everybody was celebrating it. And then 18 months go by, my friends hold an intervention because I'm so miserable. And I leave, and the first thing I do is I go to Hawaii and I crack my skull and surfing, So, but I remember talking to my parents, and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I feel like $1 million. Meanwhile, I'm got stitches, and it's just messed up, right? I'm on so many meds, but people around me have given up on trying to figure me out and instead just enjoy the ride. When I met Shauna, she said that she'd never met anybody like me because I'm never satisfied with just living. I don't want to survive. I want to full tilt live, right? Yeah. And that could mean calm living too. I think a lot of people think calm is boring. Calm can also be exhilarating if it's with the right person.
Yeah.
I called it the harmony of bliss. It's in the book I wrote about how my girlfriend and I met. It's where I experienced it with her, and we can't always experience it, but sometimes we do. And it's where we're like in perfect harmony, and the whole world, like it literally, you can't feel the world. Like it just melts away, and it's just two people, and there's just this synergy between you that just, it's so uplifting. I imagine that's what a good death would feel like. You know, that moment before where the light flashes before your eyes, and if you've had a good life, you're at full peace. So, you know, and I consider that feeling to be the pinnacle of personal for me.
Yeah.
Whereas in business, it's the complete opposite. You know, the day where it's, you know, like Alex Hormozi's book release, right? Where you do everything right, but yet everything goes wrong, and everybody's yelling at each other, and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and you're having all these board meetings, and everybody's just on edge, but at the end of the day, you've solved the problems,
right?
And that chaos was so worth it, right? So,
from all the stories, like, I mean, from all your experiences, it's clear that you're an enthusiast of life.
Yes.
And I bet that's a testament to like all of the struggles that you had to face, but also the absurd amount of work that you did, business standpoint, but also life standpoint, to realize that, okay, yes, like you were scared, you wanted to conquer your fears, and you went to the extreme. And I asked this, is that what it takes? But why go to the extreme? Why not halfway between?
I don't think halfway is where joy is. I think good and the positive and the negative, the only way that you can actually really feel something that most people don't feel is to go to the extreme. So it could be argued that in my personal life, I went to the extreme being a serial dater, right? Because I wanted to find my person, right? And when I did, I was able to capture that harmony of bliss feeling that was, I never thought, I didn't even know it existed until it happened to me, right? And then professionally, you know, some nights, you're sitting there, you've been up for 96 hours, you're starting to hallucinate Barney the dinosaur in the corner of the room, and you're like, what am I doing with my life, right? But then you have a breakthrough. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's like, everybody goes, how did you do that? And it's like, no idea.
Yeah.
But the one thing I do know is that it happened because I didn't give up, and I saw a problem, I pushed through it. You know, life is a series of problem and solution sets, right? And as long as you can push through it and you don't give up, you're going to get something out of it. It may not be what you want. I've had many failures that I thought for sure were going to work, you know, but the failure is valuable as well. It's just, it might be even more valuable. I know some people say that. But I think that, you know, like Edison with the light bulb and all these kind of, even though that's not truly the way it went, I think with a lot of those examples, you know, that is the extreme that you're talking about, right? It's just, you just keep pushing, and that's what separates people that have a more, I don't want to say mediocre, but a more common life versus people that end up they look back. Like I've said to people, if I die tomorrow, I mean, everybody has regrets, but good Lord, do I got a great movie to flash back on, you know? And I mean, ultimately we're all going to go out at some point, right? Yes. Why waste the time?
Yeah. You said this thing about like now people like understand me, right? Or like the people around me, they're just giving up on me now. And
giving up on trying to understand.
Trying to understand
but just enjoying the ride with me.
Yeah, enjoy it. But that probably wasn't always like that.
No.
And especially when you started with, you know, the different ventures that you went through, was it difficult to not let the thoughts of others influence your mind?
Yeah, every day. I remember I went to this meeting. I was 16 or 17 at the time. You know, I had purple rim glasses, I had a mushroom cut. Just the biggest nerd ever. Yeah. And I'm trying to convince these guys to give me money to throw a party. And they were all suits. And I walked in, and they all just spent an hour just ripping me down. Really? Like just an hour of just insult after insult, laughing in my face.
What did they say?
What they say?
Yeah.
Oh, they were just like, "What are you even doing here? You know, you look like a cartoon character my kid would draw that I'd put on the fridge because I was so skinny."
God damn.
You know, they brought me there for comical entertainment for them to laugh at, And it ripped through me hard, right? And then that party, I lost over $10,000 on that party because I didn't know what I didn't know at the time, and there was a threat out there that I just didn't understand. And then from that point forward, I said, oh, I'm never going to lose on a party again. That's terrible, right? And but I lost because, not only because I didn't know what I didn't know, but I let them get in my head. And my grandmother, my granny, was the one that bestowed that wisdom on me. She said, you let the people that were trying to tear you down. That's what they're trying to do. So just, if someone's trying to tear you down, rise above them. You know, that's what you got to do, rise up, right? So, and that was a lesson I took from me from the age of 16, 17, all the way through. And you got to realize that the motivations, we get stuck in this system where we think people are motivated by the same things we are, but there are some people that are motivated by hate. They're motivated by misery, and they just want to spread it. And it's not that they're bad people. They just don't understand. They haven't been able to figure out a way to not live inside of that circumstance. So, you know, but you have to understand that doesn't have to be your reality, right? And people are always trying to push their reality, like especially these days. Oh God, you know, everybody just constantly is trying to rally for what they think is the way that you should live your life, and it's like, well, I'm sorry, but you did not have my experiences.
Sometimes it's the people closest to you.
Yeah, exactly. Very much so. You know, my parents I love them dearly. My dad is a Life Touch photographer. My mom is retired now. She worked in Manitoba housing. I've told them many times, I said, I love you guys, but I don't want to be you guys. You know,
it's crazy. I've said the exact same.
Yeah, right. You know, but I also understand that they were the way they were because and this is a conscious decision why I didn't have kids of my own. They lived that life because they decided to make their lives about me and my sister, which I'm very grateful for. Because had they not done that, they could. If they didn't have, I was an expensive child. I mean, I made so many expensive mistakes growing up, right? And now, you know, now that I've had kids in my life through Shauna, I think about things and I go, if I hadn't been around, my parents would have had 20 extra grand that year. Like, my parents never went away on trips because they spent it all on me. Then they had my sister. And, you know, she needed every Barbie imaginable and all that. Then they want to take her to Disney and all these things, right? And so they never really got to do anything for themselves. So, but that's why I made the conscious decision not to have kids, because I was like, first of all, I'm a big kid myself. But second of all, I wanted to, I know it's a little bit selfish, but I wanted to have the experiences myself. I didn't want to have to watch somebody else have them, you know?
Wow. I mean, maybe that's the joy that they receive, though. Having your sister, and the joy of their version of happiness was letting you guys do it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want to be them. I love them. I don't want to be them.
Yeah.
But what they were was, my sister is, thank God, giving them 2 grandchildren now. So, you know, so they're over the moon, right? And you know, like my sister lives in Calgary. When she comes to Winnipeg, you know, my mom sits there and cries tears of joy when she's got her grandkids in her arms, right? And that's who my mom is. She's been wanting to be a grandmother. She is a grandmother. You know, she's very happy the way that Sammy and I have turned out, even though, you know, sometimes we're a giant pain in the ass. But I think, you know, I know it gets a little bit off subject, but I think, you know, you spend so much time fighting with your parents growing up as a kid, right? You think, because they're the ones setting the rules, and you don't want to have rules, right? But my Baba, my grandma on my mom's side, she saw how apart my mom and I were growing up, and she said, find one thing that you guys can relate on. So it was General Hospital. It's a soap opera, and it has mob storylines in it, which is what drew me in. I'm like, okay, I can do this, right? So my mom and I, almost every day, I watch it, she watches it, we talk on the phone or whatever, we debate, we go back and, oh, stupid character, the way they're writing them, you know, we're sending angry tweets and stuff, you know, but that's our thing, right? That's our bridge together. So, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, my mom has a very different perspective on life, but we have this one thing that we can always come back to. Right. So we're not trying to push our ways, you know. Sometimes I'm like, God, Mom, just get up and go to Greece, you know, you want to go to Greece. But for the most part, it's just acceptance of who everybody is, and that's, I wish more people would do it. You know, like I'm sure you guys have things you do that I'd be like, what the hell are those guys doing? But if it makes you happy, as long as you're not creating victims at the end of the day, go for it.
Yeah.
You seem like the type of person that's like, I want this, I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah.
Could you break down like the first time that kind of happened? I remember reading a story about you went to like Shaw TV and you pitched something to them. Like, was that what? Could you break down that story?
Oh, Def 11. Oh boy. Yeah, I was DJing and I started getting promotions and I said, you know what'd be cool is if we had a TV show in this club. And everyone's like, that's stupid. I'm like, no, I think it could be kind of fun. See, I went to Shaw TV and I was like, I want a TV show.
Yeah.
Like you just walked in? Like
Yeah, I just literally walked in off the street. This guy Marv, he's passed away now, he's this wonderful man. And he was just, I could tell he was just placating me, right? So he brings me in his office, like, so what do you want to do? And I said, well, I like hip hop. And there's nothing about hip hop on this station. And this is supposed to be a community station. So there's a community of hip hop people. So I want to do a show. And I did this little passion speech. And then he says, okay.
Oh, nice.
I'll give you a little bit of time and see what you can do. So my first episode, I mean, so I hired a camera guy who wasn't really a camera guy. He just needed the money, so he pretended to be.
The best ones.
Yeah,
the best ones.
So and then he's got the camera.
I'm looking at my guys right now.
He's got this but the problem is that we had to go on TV,
Right.
So, and I'm all this great production, and then he's got the camera right here on me, and I'm screaming into the camera the whole time 'cause I'm in the nightclub. I don't understand the way the mic will just pick me up, you know.
Yeah.
And so the first episode is so bad. We have this DVD. Like forever ago. When the first episode's on there, and you can see the growth of it because we did 500 episodes. Wow. So by the last episode, I think the last episode I was interviewing Chaclair, I think. No, Maestro Fresh West. It was his birthday, and I had to hold him up by his suit jacket because he was so drunk, and he just couldn't stand. And I'm interviewing him, and I held it. The interview turned out great, and I remember thinking to myself, man, that's interesting. Because that first episode, that guy could have never done that. I would have just been like completely out of sorts, and I would have never known what to do. Yeah. But you evolve. But I unfortunately had to evolve in front of a live audience.
Crazy.
And then I end up hosting Juno parties and stuff, and I had no business doing this stuff. But yeah, you just get thrown into the lion's den, and you figure out how to give it a chokehold. You know.
When did you pitch him?
What did I pitch them?
Yeah.
I basically just told them that. My pitch was that they were ignoring a certain segment of the community. The hip hop was growing at the time, and it was.
Yeah.
And that because of that, it was very important that they represent the hip hop crowd because they're a member of the community. Because they're community stations, so they have to. If somebody pitches them on that, right? That was probably my first good pitch, to be honest. I would say.
Do you think they bought the pitch, or do they think they bought you?
Yeah.
No, I think the pitch. I think they thought that if I went somewhere afterwards and said they wouldn't do this and they hate hip hop and what that controversy might have stemmed.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was buying me at the time.
Gotcha.
There was no me. There was no identity at that point. I was just this weird kid who just didn't accept no for an answer. Eventually, I think people started to believe in me, but that took a really long time.
Damn.
What did that process look like from learning from your failures to finding, okay, this is my undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are?
The undeniable stack of proof.
That's Alex right there.
Yeah, that is Alex. Yeah, I literally just heard Alex say that to me, and I'm watching Layla in the corner looking at me. I would say, oh man, that's a really difficult question. It's probably not one, it's probably a few. Sure. So I would do a lot of teen parties, and then Jamal Ali really put teen parties on the map. And then when he wanted to go, I left teen parties to go to school, and then he was doing teen parties, and he left teen parties to go to school, so he sold me Feel the Heat. Okay. And what we turned that thing into was just, we had tens of thousands of kids showing up for these parties, right? And then MTS sponsored me. And then I said to MTS, well, you guys made $8 million off of me this year, and you're giving me 25 grand. Like, I want more. Wow. And they were like, ha, 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 whatever. Yeah. And so I went to Rogers, and they gave me more, right? And I think that was one of them where I was like, oh, I get it, you know? Another one would probably be Well, more for me than anything would be the Stephen Harper campaign, when I realized how just downright dirty politics are. So there was, he did a rally here in Winnipeg, and he said all this stuff that he was going to do. And then we were on this deck at this guy's house afterwards, and everyone's having a beer, and I'm the young kid, right? So one of the guys asks me, oh, you want to ask the future prime minister or anything? And I said, yeah, like, how are you going to do all that stuff? And they all burst out laughing. They're like, we're not going to do that. That's for votes.
Really?
And I was like, whoa. That shook me to my core.
Yeah.
Right? And
That's
then
crazy.
Yeah, so that actually led me to trying to find, which I did sometimes find relatively good politicians to work with, because I've always been interested in politics. I remember I had this little tiny TV, 3 channels, growing up the rabbit ears, right?
Yeah.
And Brian Mulroney had won prime minister. I remember being that young and being like, that's cool. Like that guy, he can like affect everybody's lives.
Right.
So that's kind of what got me interested. Then I had these ebbs and flows of politics, right? I really enjoyed working on the Sam Cates campaign. And I'm a little bit weird because that's conservative mayor. I worked on Harper's campaign until I quit after that day.
Yeah.
And that's where I realized, okay, I need to find people that I truly believe in and that I can align my values with. And then, I get a major high from the Obama campaign, and then working with Trudeau and the Liberals, and then running myself, going through I'm sure you guys researched that, the giant stupid scandal that shouldn't have been a scandal. That knocked me down a peg, right? And today where I sit with politics is I don't have any, I can't, I know that that things are going to happen in politics that I'm not going to enjoy. All I can do is, from outside of politics, affect stuff. So like I did the nurses campaign to get them their contract. I got ride sharing in Manitoba. Wow. I would never be able to do that had I won the election. Right? So I look at it and say, I'm just going to do stuff outside of politics. I don't even argue politics anymore.
Yeah.
But these are all moments of either for myself proof that I can do something, or where the world said, yes, this guy can actually pull it off.
When did you get started into politics?
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I got interested in it when Brian Mulroney won.
Yeah.
I thought that was just so cool. Because I actually my little 5-year-old brain or whatever thought that he was actually going to do that stuff, right?
How old were you when you got in?
I was young. We were living on Molson, so that would have been pre-grade 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
That you got interested in.
In the idea of thinking that I knew what politics was.
Gotcha. Right.
And then I was throwing all these parties and had all these people that were, my age, or at the time, like 18, 19, 20, that were coming to these parties. And I was approached by the Sam Cates campaign to try to get those votes. So I was pretty much, if somebody answered the door that was under 30, they're like, go.
So they approach you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he ran again, and I did it again. And it just became this, I really like the idea of being able to affect change. I think it's one of the neatest things we have that we can do, where we take something that was in a state. It's almost like water, ice, steam, right?
Yeah.
You take something that's in a current state and you change its state, and it affects so many people. It's why it almost killed me to do the nurses campaign. I thought it was going to be like 2 or 3 weeks, and it became almost a year of work. And when we finally got it, it was October that year of 2021, and they got their contract, and I had been yelled at by Pallister, and I was getting threatening phone calls and all this stuff, right, about the fact that I was being disrespectful. I'm like, really? We're gonna have no nurses? Like, I think that's a little bit worse than what I'm saying about the fact that he better respect them because he's not exactly in those years where he doesn't need them. So that was a fun moment. But where it really started for me was the Cates campaign. Because even though he's a very controversial mayor, right? He did get some personal ends out of, allegedly out of his mayorship. He was legitimately there as a problem solver. And I saw him change things. So that's when I was like, I should be a politician. Oh, God.
Let's hear that story.
And you know what? And then what really knocked me out of it was Trudeau. You know, he lied to my face, and you know, and I after that moment when everything happened with the Liberals, I sat down and said, I can't physically be in that world anymore, because I grew up from, like I said to you guys, lies became a part of surviving. And then in the clubs, it became, oh yeah, it's packed every night. Oh yeah, you guys should come down. Like I'll have the biggest hookups for you. There's so many girls. All the girls are here, you know. Sausage party. But it becomes a part of life. But I grew out of that. Yeah. Politicians don't grow out of that for the most part. They just keep going.
Yeah.
Right? And so when they abandoned me, when they told me they wouldn't, that was it for me. I was like, okay, I see now I'm not built for this world. I was, I'm not. I've changed too much.
Can you break down the story? Like why they abandoned you and what's the...
Oh boy. Yeah, so when Trudeau was running for federal the first time around, when the red wave started, I was involved a lot in various aspects of the campaign. And he won a majority, which was crazy. Yeah. We were all like, wow, this is insane that this actually happened. And I was convinced by the Liberal Party to run as a Liberal candidate in the provincial election, and I said to them, I don't know if this is a good idea. Like, I ran nightclubs, I wrote a book about a character who like has a sex obsession and is an alcoholic, and I did a late night TV show on MTS TV called the Winnipeg Show. Some of those jokes are not politically correct. You know, are you guys sure?
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, no, we think you should do it. Right? Like, so I thought about it, I talked to a lot of people said, yeah, you'd be a great politician. Okay. Not realizing that wasn't necessarily a compliment. And then, so I was standing in my office late one night, and I was looking, we had this great office right below the revolving restaurant. I could see the whole city. Yeah. I'm standing in there, and I'm like, it's late at night, and all I have is just the lights of the city, right? I'm like, this is my city, you know? This is my problem. I should represent it. If people think this is a good idea, I should do it. So I called them up. I said, yeah, I'll do it. I said, if people attack you, we got you. It's like attacking us. Said, okay. So I officially filed, and I go and I do my little speech at the community center. And I think I knew while I was doing the speech I shouldn't be doing this. I felt it in my gut that this is not going to work out for me very well. I felt like, because they gave me edits on my speech and everything. I'm like, this isn't right. This isn't me. I could feel the ground being pulled out from underneath me in that moment. And then the speech ended, and the balloons came down, and everybody was very excited. Did the pictures, and shook the babies, and all that sort of thing. And then I went home, and I went to bed, and I woke up the next morning, and my phone was charged, but it was at like 40%. I was like, how the hell is that? What's going on? And I had hundreds, if not thousands, of phone calls and text messages, right? The NDP are about to have a press conference about you. They're going to call you a misogynist and all this stuff, right? And all they did was they took quotes from various drafts of fictional writing from my talk show. They just wiped out the links and made it look like it was me that said it. And the tweet I got in the biggest trouble for was, I had a character in a book, and he's an extreme alcoholic but doesn't want to admit it. And he's also got this horrible relationship with women. And he finds out his girlfriend is actually, she's a real estate agent, but she's also a prostitute. He finds this out right before she gets this award. So he gets stinking drunk, and he stands on a table, and he thinks he's being so funny and has so much wisdom, and he says, if a whore screams in the bedroom and no one's around to hear it, is she actually a whore? And then he falls and hits his head and ends up in the hospital and whatever, right?
It's a story?
It's a story. It's a fictional story.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They made it sound like that was me and I disrespect women. Meanwhile, I'm like, but whore is an actual profession. Like, if you talk to prostitutes, they're like, yeah, I'm a whore. Like, whatever, it's fine. It's what I do for a living, Yeah. And I'm telling you, that's a real conversation I've had with prostitutes. So, not that I go to prostitution. I went to weird places. I lived in Vegas, okay? I know a lot of people out there.
The context matters.
Context matters. Context matters.
I have these conversations. I know what they're about.
Hey, prostitutes are people too, okay?
100%.
World's oldest profession.
Yeah, that's why OnlyFans is like the biggest thing,
That's right.
I'm not saying they're
$1 trillion industry.
That's what weird places. But anyway, so I went to Liberal office.
Yeah.
and everybody's on the phone from Ottawa and everything, and they're like, if you proceed, we're going to come after you and all this stuff, right? I'm like, wait, what happened to the whole rah, 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 we got your back thing? And I'm like, oh, Stephen Harper just doing this for votes. Now I'm inconvenient, so now I don't get the votes and you don't have any use for me anymore. So I straight up told the Prime Minister and his lawyer and everybody in the room, I said, go fuck yourselves. And I went into my press conference. Wow. Not one single reporter there reported on the fact that it was a work of fiction. They just went with the, when I came out, I had a prepared statement that they prepared for me. That's all they would air. And it was really funny. This one reporter, she goes to me, I never forget this. It was during the question portion. She says, did you know you're on the dirty 12 times? I said, give me 5 minutes and you'll be on the dirty at least once, and she's like, oh, It's just so funny that, because they don't, that's the problem with the rapidly changing world that we have, is that there's so many people that can't catch up. She actually thought that the dirty was something credible to bring up as a reporter. Like, it's not a bunch of random people just airing their grievances with people that kicked them out of a club, fired them from their job, whatever, right? Yeah. So I look at that kind of thing and I say, that was a big moment for me, because I couldn't even, I went to Safeway a few days later and the girl that was wouldn't bag my groceries. She's like, you're a misogynist, and she walked away. And I was like, I'm not though. Like, if you just look at the full body of my work, I'm so not. Yeah. So I left for almost a year. Right after that, I broke my back in the gym, and that was I've had 3 very hard years in my life, and that was one of them, 2016. And it's amazing the way time heals wounds. Because when I came back to Manitoba, there were still people that were very like, oh, you're that guy. And I was like, let's talk for 5 minutes and see if you think I'm that guy. Yeah. And every person walked away saying, oh my God, I hate the media. Yeah. And I don't believe in fake news, but I believe the media is so click hungry that they just don't take the time to investigate. Investigative journalism is just poof, it's gone for the most part. Unless it's something they can put a lot of money behind because they know they can make a bunch of money off it. But they don't care about Jay Hall and his reputation, right? If they see clicks, they'll do it.
Yeah. When you were getting ripped apart in the public's eyes, what did that feel like when you're off the social media and you have to look at yourself in the mirror and maybe you're questioning? What was your mental mindset at the time?
I don't think I questioned myself, because I recognized very quickly that they had no interest in the truth and they only had interest in entertaining the masses. Right. What I had a problem with was people attacking my mom, calling her Manitoba's worst mother, and stuff like that. Hurt, man. That hurt. And I was like, I remember when I left, and the first night we went to Florida, and we were kind of sitting out on the deck, and somebody had called me to give me an update, and I said, I don't want them anymore. I can't live in that. I can't live in other people's headspace. I have to live in my own, and I have to just be completely honest about who I am. And if I am that person, if at the end of the day I was honest with myself and I realized I was that person, I felt like I was far enough along my own journey I could course correct that. Nice. The lesson from that experience was that we all, I say it a lot with this production with Fear, we all have a role to play. My role is not to be a politician, right? I have a guy here he's this amazing builder. You guys walked around these sets, a lot of that stuff he's built. Right. He's amazing at it. But he constantly is trying to do other stuff. And I'm like, that's not your lane, right? You are valuable in what you're doing. Then you go over here where you know nothing and you're trying to do it. That's not valuable to anybody, right? I'm the same way. I should not be building the sets. Me and a hammer, we look at each other and we're strangers, right? But when it comes to, coming up with the concepts, I can do that. I can come up with the marketing and all that. When I looked in the mirror, I thought to myself, I feel bad for everybody around me. That was the worst part, that everybody else was getting cut up because I decided to host a talk show, or I decided to write a book or whatever. And then I decided to do something that my body was like, don't do it. And I did it anyways.
Yeah. No, in that moment, I often have this thought too, eventually as the show gets bigger, there's going to be repercussions for what I say and what I put out there, right? And that comes with what I signed up for. But to that extreme of like people are saying your mom's a bad mother or like they're attacking your family. Did that make you question why you even did that at the start?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, when I stood there and was doing my speech, I started to question it. And then as people are attacking my mother and everything, like it was, my whole life kind of collapsed in 24 hours after it.
Exactly.
By 48 hours later, I was already planning to leave Winnipeg, because I felt like I had to. It was just following me everywhere. It was like a ghost. It was just following, just constantly poking me in the back of the head, like, I'm here, don't forget about me. I don't regret it though. That's the interesting part. Like when you're in the moment of it, you're like, you just want it to go away. But I don't regret it because it really helped push me in the direction. I hate that I required that big of a push to realize I should get the hell away from politics. But that's what did it for me. That's what really helped me get over that stage of my life.
The extreme.
Yeah, the extreme. And politics is, people don't realize it. It's so ubiquitous with everything, right? Everybody's tying their value statements to politics and everything, but politics is the most extreme sport in the world because there are no rules, literally. Like, we look at what's happening now with politicians. The world has changed so much in the last 10 years because of politics, and they just don't care about anything but the bottom line and what will benefit them and their circle. And until we get away from these types of people running for, there's another argument. I don't believe people should be governing us at this point because I think we're just so tied to emotion. But
what a hot take.
Yeah, right. I know. Oh, I could talk about this for hours, but this is not an AI podcast. I'm writing a story about it right now, actually, a book about it. But I think that when the most important thing in the world that changes the world the most has no rules to it, and the only way to succeed is to be the dirtiest player in the room, that's a recipe for disaster.
That's true.
So I just try to live my best life every day when I wake up, and hopefully when I lay my head down at night, I've succeeded with that. And if a nuclear bomb drops in the middle of that, I mean, what are you going to do, right? God, this went deep. But yeah, politics is hard, man. It's very hard to digest all this and to be happy when there's so much of that happening around us, right?
I mean, one of the reasons why I love this format of like long form is you actually get to know who that person is, right? Especially where you could say part of this is also clip culture as well. Like, you're trying to clip up moments.
Opus.
But there's also an aspect of it. If you sit through a 3-hour pod, if you listen to someone even for an hour long, you'll be able to gauge certain subconscious things that they're not saying, right? Even the way that they're presenting themselves, the way they're saying things, the way that they're sitting, the way that they're relaxed, whatever that may be, you can get subconscious cues from a person that you don't get on a 7-minute news highlight, right?
Well, when you write a book, the number one thing you want to have is a ton of subtext. So that, because the subtext is what makes the story interesting.
Exactly.
You go back and you read it and see it from all these different perspectives, right? Every time if you can go back and read a story 15 times and get 15 different stories from it because of the subtext,
that's a good book.
That's a good.
That's how you know. Even movies the same way. Like, you watch them back, you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's why. That's
any story-based medium.
Exactly.
Right? So subtext being as important as it is, when we're really trying to steer ourselves in our lives, that's the stuff we have to listen to the people we meet. Because anybody can say anything they want, right? Like, you can meet someone and be like, I'm a billionaire, I've got everything I need, anything you need, I'll hook you up, it's all good. Meanwhile, they live in their parents' basement, right? And it's like, the subtext is, no billionaire is saying that.
Yes,
it's true.
And you have to learn that as you go along, right? And I know some very wealthy people. I've spent a lot of time. I have great friends that have a lot of money. They never talk about their money, and they never use their money to qualify themselves, right? And I had to learn that. And now, whenever I meet somebody that's like, I have millions of dollars, I've done all these things, I'm like, highly doubtful, highly doubtful. Like, I have these friends in Vegas, and they've got this house that's like, guys, It's so. I got to stay there for a week by myself when they went back to their family home in Minneapolis or Minnesota, and it was like living like a king. It was crazy, you know, and they just have all this stuff. But when you sit with them, and we would sit out and we'd, you know, I'd smoke some weed, they'd smoke the cigars, and we'd just chill all night and talk about the big things in life. Money never came up. It was just never a thing. And I get it, they got it, so, you know, whatever. But they never tried to use it ever. I've never seen them use it to leverage themselves over someone or to prove that they're more, you know, and I've only seen them use it to help. Right. So, you know, there's two types of rich people out there. They're the one type. Then there's the other type who we won't get into, but because that's a whole nother podcast. Sure. But at the end of the day, their subtext is, we're fortunate enough to have this, so we're just going to share it. We're not going to talk about it, we're just going to share it. And hopefully you come out better because of it, right? Wow. And so I love that.
You've gone into the dark side of the politics, and I'm sure there was also a positive side.
Yeah.
And I'll ask, like, what was it like working on the Obama campaign?
Oh man.
How do you get that call?
Yeah, like, how did
who calls you? Like,
did Obama call himself?
No.
What does that look like?
No, definitely wasn't Obama calling me. It's not like I knew him well or anything. I was down there, actually, I did a TV show about clubs. This is not Def 11 now, this is called Club Life. Okay. And it was basically me going interviewing drunk people and just like making fun of them. It was hilarious. It was a good show. And my buddy Mitch, who was the fake cameraman, who became a real cameraman, he had a
you converted him.
Yeah. So he had this segment called Mitch is all up in your area, and he would like talk about how foam parties are like nature's natural lubricant and all these things. Really funny stuff. So we had a really great show, and we got really good ratings season 1. So season 2, we said, how about we do this? We take contest winners from every major city in Canada, bring them to Vegas, and teach them how to do Vegas on 3 different walt sizes. And so I had to go down there and pitch to clubs on this. But nobody's awake during the day in the club business down there. And these door knockers knocked on my door, said, hey, can Obama count on your vote? I said, no, I can't vote, so you can't count on my vote. And they're like, well, do you want to volunteer? So I said, sure. So it just evolved so fast. Okay. It went from door knocking to answering phones to the event coordinator in Vegas quit out of nowhere, and there was a rally needed to be ran, and who's an event coordinator? I'm like, I guess me. Yeah. So then, I end up, 42 minutes in a green room with Bill Clinton, and I end up, met Biden before he was the guy we know today. And it just kept snowballing. And then I was like, well, can you go to Colorado? Can you go to, and I was like, yeah, oh, okay, this is pretty fun.
And you're volunteering?
Yeah, I was volunteering the whole time. Wow. And I don't, so I'm going big, right? Yeah. Most of the rallies were like these photocopied flyers at like Staples or whatever, or Office Depot at the time. And I'm getting full color glossy, flyers, like the reggaeton flyers, and putting those out, right? And everyone's like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how to do anything. You asked me to be an event coordinator. This is what I know what to do. So then I ended up going to everywhere. Yeah. I went all over the country. I was in Chicago for election night. I was in DC when he did his inauguration. I did a video for the Obamas Chicago election night, just talking to people why they voted for him. I was on CNN and Fox and all these things, and it was a time of light in my life. It was like, oh, there's some hope here. He ran on hope and change, right? Those were the two fundamentals of the campaign. I got a tattoo. I went to Hawaii, and so the tattoo artist right down the street from his house, who also did The Rock's big tattoo. So 14 of us got the same tattoo done. It's Obama, and it's all the lessons that he told us. We did this little private meeting. Wow. It was just joyful. It felt like the world was going in the right direction.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it opened up Pandora's box. But one specific night, we were in, I think it was Coronado Stadium. And we were setting up for the rally for Barack to come the next day, and so we're just we ordered pizza, and we're kind of standing by the stands in the middle of the field, and he's on a stage, doing his practice stuff, dropping in the box and all that, in just case that somebody shoots at him or nuclear strike or whatever, so And he just came walking over to us, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" and he's like, "Oh, pizza," you know. And so he's like, what do you got? And I was like, "I'm pineapple." He goes, "Pineapple on pizza?" I was like, "Oh, come on, you're from Hawaii." He's like, "That's a stereotype." I'm like, "Oh, I'm just getting roasted by the future president of the United States," you know. So it was just a cool moment because he walked away, and all of us, we were like holding our breath the whole time he was talking to us. All of us just went, "Cool guy," you know, because none of us had met him at that moment. And just so, God, the charisma that guy oozes. So I had, there was this Field of Heat, we talked about that a few times. These parents had come down to Vegas. So I got them into the rally, and I got them to meet Obama on the handshake line and everything. And they said, "There's just something." You know, like when they said it felt like magic when he shook their hands. You know, like just very cool. And I know some people feel that way about other politicians and whatever, and fine. I'm not here to argue politics, but for me, that moment in time with the Obama campaign was so filled with hope. It felt like the world was turning properly, you know?
Yeah, as it should.
Yeah. So, and that's a cool feeling to have, even though it was fleeting. It was cool to have 8 months of that, where there was every day waking up to hope.
Yeah. Was this before or after your ticketing business? Like
ticketing business was after.
This after.
Yes,
Okay.
I gave up on politics and then went in. I had a marketing firm.
So what were you doing in Vegas for them to approach you?
That was the TV show.
Oh, the TV show. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the event ticketing then.
Okay, Incredivent.
Incredivent.
Yes, that's a weird story, as all my stories are. I had helped a guy create Diobo, which was for Manitoba socials.
Okay.
Basically, just kind of helping him along the way because he wasn't a tech guy, but he knew he liked to do this stuff, and he knew he had an idea. His name was Steve Schaefer, and then I was one of his first customers, and I got a lot of customers for him, and then that was in 2008. I want to say right after the Obama campaign. Or I guess it would have been 2009, I think. Something like that. And then 2016, he called me and said, "Hey, you know, I'm dying, and I don't want to leave my family with debt. So you think you could buy Diobo, and then I'll just pay off my debt and go?" I said, "Jesus Christ, man." I'm like, first of all, good die young. I mean, he was a good man. So I did. We myself and a partner, we bought it, and then we realized how broken it was because from the initial build, it hadn't been touched in almost 10 years.
Wow.
Right, so old software, just nothing worked. So then myself and my partner, we started it, and then he wasn't really into it that much, so it was just me doing it, and I was like, you know, first of all, nobody can pronounce the name. And we're not Google, we're not gonna like create a word or anything, you know, it's gonna be, we gotta change this name. So we went to Ticket Tote, which was the most boring name ever, but we found some success. And then I said, okay, the Ticket Tote's always gonna be a placeholder name until I can think of something really cool. And then we had this slogan we started to use, you know, we build incredible events, right? And then one night we're just sitting around in a dev session and we're all just, you know, kind of doing what devs do and creatives do, and I'll leave that to your imagination. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, eyes are squinty. I'm like, we need something like Incredivent. Everyone's like, oh my God. We're all jumping up. We're like, yes, we got it, right? Finally. And then my graphic designer, Justin Kamoski, one of the most talented graphic designers on the planet, next day comes up with this logo.
Wow.
And I remember the guy from the IRAP program, which is a business program here in Canada. He saw the logo and he goes, "How much did you pay for that logo? That's like a $50,000, $60,000 logo." I was like, "Shut up! Don't tell my graphic designer is right down the hallway. He's not getting that. I'll tell you that. He made it in an hour." And then it just started to snowball. From there, it was like we just kept getting bigger and bigger clients, and it was growing. And every day, I was like, "Holy crap! This thing's getting so big." Like it was just, you know, we were up to 44 staff, and it was 24/7, and the pressure of having all these live events, and technology could just crap out. And technology you have no control over, right? And it was just, and meanwhile, while I'm running it, there's this underlying medical condition that it's exasperating the whole way through. And it fundamentally pretty much killed me. Came back, but it pretty much, Incredivent pretty much killed me. And then I was laying in a hospital bed and I went, I don't want my staff to all be on the unemployment line or anything. So I called one of my clients. I said, could you buy it? I think you could use it. And they said, sure. And that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were doing like full, what was the time frame on growing it? Like from buying it to selling?
2016 to 2024.
Damn. And so you were just grinding out.
Oh, the grind was relentless. I'll tell you during COVID, like when COVID hit and everyone's like, oh, it's just gonna be a week or two. I was going, okay, well, I'm in the events business, so it better be a week or two.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, we had a lot of success right before COVID, so we had a lot of money saved up, and so we were able to kind of weather it. But February 2020, I'm trying to think of the years, February 2021, 2022, something like that. Anyways, during COVID, I was down to like $8,000.
Wow.
And I had 23 staff.
From where?
From 7 figures. Yeah. Like, I'm like, there's no events happening. Like, nothing's, like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So I went, I'm sitting in Winnipeg isn't going to do any good. I got 23 mouths to feed. I got to figure something out now. I've got not even a week of payroll left. So I went to Vegas because I've been there so many times. And like, and I just started talking to everybody, literally walking into private clubs like I own the place and just trying to find people that threw events. I found this. It was crazy. This is also a crazy story. So I'm burned out now. I've been there for a couple days. I've been up for the whole time. And finally I meet this woman who's like, oh, I have this friend named Jason. You should meet with him. He's staying at the Conrad Hotel. Let's go there. So we go there and he comes down in the lobby and I could tell he didn't like me right from go, right? We're just rubbing each other the wrong way. But he says, you know what? I might have somebody you can help. Just give me a bit. I'll go up to my room. I'll make some phone calls. I'll come down. Just stay here for a few hours. I'm like, oh, I just want to sleep. But okay. So I'm sitting there, and then this woman comes up to me and she says, hey, I heard you talking about your business and everything. It sounds like a pretty interesting story. I used to produce for Shark Tank. And I was like, oh, cool, you know. And she's like, you should submit. I said, well, I'm Canadian, so, you know.
Dragon's Den.
There's that. Yeah, Dragon's Den.
Let me just call up.
Yeah. So she's like, well, okay, well, if you can't do it, she gets on her phone. She's like, here, talk to this guy. Yeah. Mark Cuban. Yeah. Mark Cuban. I was like, oh my God. You know, like I'm sitting there, I'm like trying to keep I'm like, what's up, Mark? And meanwhile, I'm like, yeah. Like I'm gonna want to talk to him for years, right? And it was a very brief conversation, whatever. And he was just like, these are the times that make a business owner.
Yeah.
Make an entrepreneur. If you can get through this, you deserve everything you get, you know? And it was quick. It gets off the phone. Jason comes downstairs, says, okay, I got a meeting for tomorrow. Come pick me up at Conrad. Get the meeting, go to the studio. They become one of my biggest clients. They have all these events, bang, 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 bang. All of a sudden, we got money coming in. The payroll's going out just fine. And because of these events, all these other events are coming in, and it just started rolling again. And it was great. Then I got sick. But up until I got sick, man, it was clicking. And right before I got sick, I had a tentative deal for my Series A.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wild.
So I was 3 weeks away from my Series A.
Wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
God damn, bro.
Yeah. It's been a roller coaster.
For someone who doesn't do like, well, Mark even doesn't. I've notoriously known for not doing phone calls, just like emails.
Yeah.
To hop on.
Yeah.
Call.
Well, I guess this producer and him were like super tight.
Yeah.
You know, and and it was really funny is my story.
Is
like we started very similar, right? You know, he went door to door selling garbage bags. I went door to door collecting garbage. Yeah. He sold baseball cards to people in his school. I sold hockey cards to people in my school, you know. Now, I would love to end my story the way he's ending his. But, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, he's such a cool guy and a good man, you know. Like, he didn't have to run extreme deficits with his basketball team all those years. And he did that just because he wanted people to be able to enjoy basketball, you know. Like,
what did he tell you? And what did you ask him? Were you were you pitching him, or were you asking him?
No, it wasn't. It was a very quick, brief phone call. She basically just said, "Here's what I've heard.
Yeah.
this guy's going through some tough stuff. Maybe
Nice.
just give him a, you know, a raw
great.
speech. And he just said, he's like, I know you're going through some shit right now. We all do it. I've been there. Every entrepreneur's been there. This is the moment that will define who you are.
Shout out that producer.
What?
Shout out to the producer.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know her name. That's the crazy part. Because she sat next to me, started talking to me, and I was like, I was so tired. Like, I'm telling you, I was like, cause I'd done 3 days, pretty much sleepless nights, just worried, panicked over the money, right? And I jump on a plane, and I'm there for 48 hours, don't sleep, so for like 5 days, pretty much. And then she's sitting next to me, and I was honestly blowing her off. I can't believe she did it, because I was like, I just was kind of like, get out of here, you know, like I just want to fall asleep while that guy's upstairs trying to figure his shit out.
Do you think it was a hallucination?
No, it happened. I had to think for a second, because it could have been. I mean, but no, it happened. It was the interesting part of all that is that Mark is also looped in with another one of the clients I had.
So he knows.
So I know it happened. Yeah, that's funny though. Yeah, it could have been, because I definitely have had those nights.
When you got on that plane, you didn't know, like, you were going there to like fight for
Hail
the
Mary.
company, like.
Throwing the football and seeing if anybody can reach the end zone.
Did you ever think about what would happen if nothing happened from that Vegas trip?
Yeah, I was very acutely aware that it would be bankruptcy. Like, went from this holy high before COVID, and look, like none of us could. Well, okay, the scientific community saw COVID happening, but none of us could do anything about it.
Right.
You know, so I just kind of sat down, and I had to come to peace with the fact that I have to. You know, Alex says something very important that I try to think of with fear, and you know, when I was doing fear, the thing he says is just try to have as many wins as possible. And if at the end of the day it doesn't work, who cares? You tried everything. You put all of you into it. You know, so like for fear, for example, I'm trying to win the content game. We have more content than anybody else. Try to win the video game. We've got a short horror film and a pretty great trailer, in my opinion.
A production.
Production. You know, the production game in here, and trying to win the uniqueness game and the weather game and the all these. I basically put up a list of things. I'm like, where can I win as much as possible? So if 5 people show up here, yeah, it'll hurt. But at the end of the day, and I know it won't because I've seen ticket sales, they're pretty good. But you know, it would hurt. But I would be able to say, it's not for lack of effort.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes the world just sends you cues. You know, like we were talking about the nightclub business, right? And I was so unhappy in the nightclub business because of what I was witnessing, and I couldn't do anything about it. And that was the world saying, get out.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes we just need these big, I seem to need them a lot, but sometimes we just all need these big pushes to get us to steer our ship in a different direction. God, I use a lot of metaphors, but yeah.
You were also doing fear during that time as well, right? Like just before COVID? Or
so we did Fear in 2018 was the last year we did it before the COVID year.
Yeah.
And then 2019 our venue burnt down.
Yeah.
Fake insurance,
Let's
lost everything.
Let's talk about all that. So first of all, we're in a giant warehouse.
A black site.
A black site. If you watched the beginning of this episode, you probably saw a bunch of people behind us. So where are we? What is this place? And like, what is Fear as a whole?
So this is a very legendary building in Winnipeg, the Winnipeg Cold Storage Building. I think there's a pretty big obsession with the history of this building. A lot has happened here. And my uncle ended up with the building, him and this guy Fung. And he came to me and he says, hey, I think I've got something for Fear. You might want to come take a look. And I walked in here. I was like, wow, yeah. This is, but I recognized the problem right from go, and that was it's just expansive space. And that is the opposite of what you want for Halloween. You want tight corners. You want to, lead people down a path. So I was like, okay, it's going to require a little bit of work. So we'll only do like 2 experiences. Keep it tight. Yeah, right. 1 floor, which is now 8 experiences, 500,000 square feet. We're in the purged room right now, which is an expansive space, right? So we had to come up with ideas that worked with the space. And that's when I was like sitting there one night, I'm like, this venue is the main character of the show.
It is.
You know, and like I said to you guys before, when people come in here and like, oh, you didn't even have to do anything, it would have been scary. I'm like, stop. Like, we're doing so much work here.
It's funny,
know?
You should have seen our conversation in the car. We're like, where the fuck are we?
You didn't see this. There's 2 cop cars just right outside, just going through something.
Yeah,
And there's like, I mean, we saw a whole bunch of shit coming into this. But then, yeah, we walk in here and we're like, holy fuck, like this is crazy.
It's a cool building.
Yeah.
And it's the thing I like about it is like the main floor, I always say to people, it's kind of like Resident Evil-ish. It's very lab tech and everything. And then the basement is very like Saw. And then upstairs is very, you know, Walking Dead-ish and all that. And the front entrance looks like the prison from Walking Dead. And it's such a cool building. You know, it's on Jarvis. It's in the industrial zone down here. Surprisingly, there's not a lot that happens here. I don't even see a lot of people, because we're on a dead end. So I don't even see a lot of people walk by. Like I've had, like my uncle has like a ton of like great, cool cars, right? He's got this one car that's made out of like fiberglass or something. I can pick it up. It's crazy. It's like this little sports car. It's like so pricey. And he doesn't even worry about it down here. They've never had an issue, right? Cool. So I understand the neighborhood sometimes gets dogged and whatever. And yeah, you go a couple blocks down. Yeah. Crazy. But I mean, you can say the same thing about the Exchange District, Portage, you know, whatever, right?
Winnipeg is downtown.
Yeah. So we're like 2 blocks away from madness.
It kind of adds to the vibe of it.
It does. Yeah, it does for sure. So it's this is our kind of like, so our last year was 2021 during COVID, very small in my office. We just kind of threw it together. We didn't go insane with props or anything. I think I had 3 boxes of props that year. I just went around and I was like, any office, any building that has like filing cabinets, anything, I'll take them off your hands. So that's how we built our sets. And that was the year we perfected our entertainment, our style of entertainment, our psychological scares and everything. And then I couldn't find a venue. 2022, I looked everywhere, couldn't find a good venue. 2023, looked everywhere, couldn't find a good venue. 2024, got sick. And then end of 2024, my uncle says, come check it out. I come check it out. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So this is going to be the year that determines whether Fear continues on. Wow. You know, if it does really well, then I think we've got something really big here. That's, you know, not just a Halloween thing, but, you know, like a halfway to Halloween thing. I mean, there's 5 floors here. We're using a basement. Right. And then first and second floor, there's huge spaces for big Halloween parties and Halloween or Hollywood productions. Right. And, you know, I now have a cast of 300 people that could easily be extras on horror movies and everything. You know, because we say we put you in your own personal horror movie, right? Because we try to be real. You know, and I always say I get it. Some people, that's what they want to do. That's what they like, and I'm fine. We are not the prefab set animatronic style place. Everything around you is real, right? It's not something you wouldn't find somewhere. Right. That's kind of what I try to go with.
When you're developing these concepts for the rooms, are you like drawing this out on paper? Are you typing it on computer? What does that process look like of your, like, are you lighting up before you start thinking about these stuff?
I light up to sleep.
Okay.
Okay. Or if I really feel the stress coming. But you know what's funny, because every year I swear that what I come up with months and months ahead of time, that's going to be what it will be. Yeah. Never works out that way. Honestly, the process has become, the more time I spend in the space, the more ideas I get. So some nights I just come here and I sit in a chair in the middle of the space and I try to picture it.
It's just so creepy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's very creepy.
Let your mind run wild.
Just sitting in the dark and just picturing, okay, I want to see somebody screaming in my head, and I open my eyes and I'm like, what can I do to make that happen? And that's how the experiences get built. And then I come up with a framework. I pass it off to my captains in each experience. They talk with their crew and their cast, and they just build on that, make it better. And honestly, it evolves night to night too. You know, we'll have our first few nights. I guarantee the first few nights will be almost entirely different than the last few nights. Yeah. It's just the nature of interactive theater. Yeah. You know, we did classify ourselves in the first years of Fun Mountain and Adrenaline Adventures as like a horror experience, but we're a theater company. Yeah. You know, when you got this many people acting, and you know, like you got speaking roles, you got zombie roles, you've got, you know, all these different styles of roles, and then you got people coming in here, and it's all interactive. A lot can happen. you know, and it just, it's also based on the groups. You know, some years we've had the most amazing groups, and then that COVID year, oh my God, people lost their damn minds.
Yeah.
You know, and it was hard. It was hard to get through, and it was hard to even want to do it again after that. You know, we saw a lot of, like, I have no tolerance for any of the isms. Racism was rampant at our show. People coming in trying to screw up things up on purpose. You know, and I was like, oh, what am I doing here? But then I realized it was a sign of the times.
Yeah.
People were just really not sure about what the hell to do with themselves. And I've seen people kind of settle now. Not everybody, but for the most part.
Yeah.
So can you talk about the structure of how you run this organization? I mean, you already kind of dove into fear itself for this year. Like, you have captains for each experience.
Yeah.
But running a 300-person business can be a lot. So walk me through the process of the structure of fear.
So what's really funny about that is that I've had a family thing to attend to the last 2 nights. And one of the younger guys who started out with Fear a few years ago, and his dad has been with Fear for 4 years, he's been wanting to get more responsibility. So I said, okay, you're going to be me for a couple days. So he text messaged me last night. I've got, where's my phone? I don't know if I have my phone on me. I wanted to actually read that. Oh no, it's right here. I'll read you this conversation because I thought it was really interesting. Let me just go.
So for context, who is this?
His name is Liam, and he's running the Zero Zombie escape game. But
Okay.
he ran the whole facility for a couple days.
Nice.
And he's is just really funny. So he basically kept catching me up on everything that was happening. And I responded to him. He said, "Sounds good. I'm burning out already. I don't know how the hell you do all this all the time. It's insane." And I said, "Yeah, it's a lot, but I keep the end goal in focus. I need to do something that makes the world a better place at least once a year, and Fear allows me to do that through the charities we support. So I keep that in focus. I remember that I always, that it's frustrating a lot and some of the people can be very frustrating, but this is going to be the highlight of the year every year. So you end up helping a lot of people, and that's what you have to keep in mind." He said, "Good thing to keep that in mind for sure, but I still don't understand how you do it." But basically everything on the list is finished, so great. I said, and I just kind of sent back something, and we went back and forth a couple times, and then he said, I told him he had to do this, this, and this. And I said, "Boss mode activated, laugh out loud, how's it feel?" He said, "Who knew being an adult would be like this?" He said, "Nobody told me. I definitely learned the hard way, just like you are right now." And then he said something that I was really taken back by. He said, "Well, you're one hell of a role model, I'll give you that. Now time to get back to work so I can impress you again. I'll let you know when we're done." So I was really put in perspective. You know, somebody stepped into my shoes for 48 hours, and they were like losing their mind. They're like, "Oh my God, I don't know how you do this." So from an organizational standpoint, as much as I like to say it's completely organized, it's organized chaos. So I consider myself the executive producer of the show. I fund the show, and I come up with the overlying concepts. I have Kyle McComas, who is my marketing manager and also kind of a producer of the show, comes in on that regard. Nikki, I don't know how to say Nikki's last name. I've never heard anybody say it, and I've known her for years and years and years. I'm going to go with Kubero, Nikki Kubero. Sorry.
I'm sure she'll let us know.
Yeah, she's very vocal on that. So she's the head of makeup and costumes. And then we have our captains, so one per experience. And then so basically what I do is, so we did orientation a few weeks ago. I come in and I try to get everybody to believe, because right now all those people are tentative until after the orientation, right? Because some people will drop off. It's just the way it goes. So I do the rah-rah-rah speech, get them going, get them excited. Yeah, we got to do this. This is an amazing thing. And then from there, the people kind of get handed off to the captains. And now I'm just trying to make sure the general show works.
Right.
That's so interesting. This is such a crazy space. And like the fact that you're just doing this and like scaring people during Halloween and like putting your capital up front and risking it all, like especially you said this year is make or break for you guys in terms of like what the future looks like. you've lost a lot of money in this.
Yeah, like well, not yet.
Not yet.
I put out a lot of money.
Put out a lot of money.
Well, yeah, because like to put it in perspective, if we were to do this exact same thing, which we wouldn't, we like to switch it up a bit every year. But if we were to do this exact same show next year, our expenses would go from 6 figures to 4 figures.
Oh, okay.
Like that's the disparity because I had to extension cords. $12,000 worth of extension cords. Like what? I know, it's crazy, right? But everything needs a fucking extension cord in this place, you know? And it's
We need an extension cord.
every day someone's coming to me like, we don't have enough extension cords.
Was
I'm
that
like,
in the budget?
how? Not that much. You know, because of course my uncle was like, oh yeah, every plug-in here works perfectly. Bullshit. 1 in 7 work if I'm lucky.
We got the best one.
Yeah, you've literally got it's coming from there. That one plug powers 3 experiences.
That's electrical safe, right?
Well, yeah, it is because we're using it safely.
Yes.
But in a fire department approved.
Okay.
But you know, this has been a very fluid situation since we've been in here.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we got the opportunity to host a music festival, and the day of, we get a call, no ice. How the fuck we have no
Wait,
ice?
did you guys host Fire Festival?
No. Lakeside Live. And we're like, yo, there's drinks. Why the fuck isn't there ice?
Yeah.
And so our guys go get ice. We go drive and get ice from Safeway. But like those things that you just didn't even think of.
That's so funny. Yeah, there's
Like-
always little things. Yeah, always. Like yesterday, I bought a ton of black light paint.
Okay, cool.
Doesn't work in the black light. You have one job, paint, you know? So now I'm clamoring.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, well, now I can't trust any of the black light paint. So now I got to buy all the black light paint and see what works and send back what doesn't or what I don't need, you know? So now it's this, all of a sudden there's this $2,500 bill for black light paint that won't exist next year if we do another year, right? So it's, you know, but that's what entrepreneurship is. It's everything you start with. You know, when you guys started this, you didn't have all the cameras, you didn't have all the gear. I'm sure you guys are still sitting there like, oh, we need to make more money, guys. Like, how do we do this? You know?
You are 100% right.
Yeah. So you just figure, but you'll figure it out, right? If the world isn't throwing huge things at you to try to knock you off the course and telling you probably stop doing this, then yeah, you'll keep problem solution. Get those sets figured out. Get those reps in, and you'll be good. You know.
What was the problem like when this place burned down? Or the
previous one?
sorry, not this place. The
Oh
previous
God,
one
that
burned
was
down.
heartbreaking. Oh, so that story is another wild one. So I was in clubs. I left clubs because I was disheartened with everything. And I was like, okay, well, it was funny because I always threw Halloween events and tried to scare people in the middle of the bar events, and that doesn't work out very well. It's a lot of throwing up on people.
Shit. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, there was a lot of my actors getting just barfed on. So I was like, okay, I want to do this. So, fun. But I never really knew what to do, and then Fun Mountain, we had this opportunity to help a friend, so we did that, and then we were like, hey, well, we'll try doing it because it sold out really well. We had 2 weeks to plan the whole thing, marketing, everything, and it sold out 7 days in a row. And like some days, it was crazy. That first year, like 4 people showed up when we had a cast of like 40. And so like I'm playing like 8 roles. So I'm like running up the mountain, running down the mountain. And one time I was like, I just got it. There's ice in the water slide, so I could just fly down, right? Somebody moved the mattress at the bottom. So I go head first into the pool, massive concussion, right? And it's just like, it's so crazy, right? So the year of Fear 4, we were approached by this guy who had gone to Fear 3 and said, I've got this building. I think it'd be perfect. You should come do it. So I went and looked at it. I'm like, yeah, I think we can make this work. So we put a lot of work in, not knowing what to expect because it was also on Jarvis, right? So we're like, will people come to the area? So we sold 28,800 tickets that year. We had 75,000 people on our wait list.
Wow.
So I'm like, this is it. Right?
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Because if I can figure out a way to get those 75,000 people through, that's good. I'm Hawaii the rest of the year, So you know, I went to BDC and I said, hey, you know, I want to take out this giant loan. Here's the proof. Yeah. You're talking about, you know, the stack of proof. So, you know, they're like, yeah, great. Yeah. Sign up, go. I start buying everything imaginable, right? I'm buying all these crazy, I'm creating trap doors in the floors and bringing $50,000 worth of lumber in a day and all this stuff. I'm like, this is going to be the greatest thing that anybody's ever seen in production in Manitoba. And then I wake up one day and go out on my balcony. Air smells like smoke. I'm like, oh, there must be a fire somewhere. I'm like, that sucks for whoever that's getting experience in that, right? And then my mom called me and she's like, what was the address of the warehouse that you did fear in? So I told her, she goes, yeah, I think it's burning down. I was like, no way. So I drive, I get to the warehouse, and right when I get out of my car, the outside walls.
No way.
Smoke, fire, everything, you know, and I'm like, oh, well, at least I've got insurance. Then I get the phone call, and from another tenant who was in the building, who had a CBD business in there, millions of dollars worth of stock. These motherfuckers, they sold us fake insurance. I'm like, excuse me, what did you just say? So all of us lost everything in this fire. And I had pretty much blown through that whole loan from BDC.
If you don't mind me asking, how much are you allowed to say?
We'll believe it.
It's a lot. Let's just say it's a lot. It's like, I'll start crying if I say the number, to be honest. It's a lot. So I'm like, I just sat there on the curb, like crying, right? I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Because I had my marketing company at the time. You know, I've got all this stuff, all these coals in the fire, but they were all dependent upon fear working in 2019.
Because you were also doing Incredivent.
Doing
then
Incredivent,
as well.
yeah.
And this was before the COVID thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be the next part of it. So, you know, we try to figure out what do we do, and ultimately there were no answers. So I just kept paying this stupid loan.
Oh my God.
So basically, now imagine this. Now, let's just say the number was bigger than you could possibly ever imagine.
Sure.
Now imagine you did that. You took that money out of the bank and you just stuck it in a burn barrel and lit it on fire. That's pretty much exactly what I did, right? So now I'm paying this loan, but I'm thinking to myself, okay, no insurance, gotta buy props. All right, what do I do? I'm like, you know what? The worst is behind me. 2019, 2020, man, it's gonna be awesome. In February, my friend is a nurse, and I'm talking to her, and she's like, the ER is insane right now. This COVID thing might actually be a problem. I'm like, maybe, but I'm gonna proceed like it's not. So I'm just going, and by March, right? I was in Idaho Falls. I was headed to Vegas for something to do with Incredivent, and Trudeau gets on the TV, and I'm already like, and he says all Canadians should come back to Canada. Like, here you are, screwing me again, Trudeau. So I come back to Canada, and then it's just months and months and months. And now it's cut in. Now I know I'm not doing fear. Yeah. So now I'm have very uncomfortable phone conversations with BDC, right? Like I'm gonna do my best here, but there's a chance I'm not making my payments on time, you know? Because the payments are massive. Like the payments are more than most small businesses' entire payroll for like 6 months. Okay, so but something very strange happened to me at that point in time. That's where I finally figured out how to just find peace in everything. So even though the whole world was burning down around me, I was like, if it's gonna burn, it's gonna burn. I will bring as many fire extinguishers as I can, but if that's not enough, it's just not enough. Yeah. There's nothing else I can do. Yeah. And then a family emergency happens, which requires serious capital. And I'm looking at my bank account, like, what the fuck? Okay, let's deal with that problem too, right? And and then that's when I left and went to Vegas and did all this stuff and tried to get everything back. And then I met Shauna, and that's where I felt like that era of my life should be titled resiliency. Just figuring out how to be resilient, because the worst of everything was piling on. And then I book in that with 2 illnesses or 2 like major medical situations in 2016 and 2024. And it's like, man, when am I just going to win the lottery or something,
Catch a break,
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's entrepreneurship, man. It's everything. The whole world's burning around you all the time, and you just bring as many fire extinguishers as you can to put it out.
Did you try to sell fear at one point? Or did you sell fear at one point?
So I did. But the deal was weird. So this guy called me. He's like, "I'll buy your database." I was like, "Okay." No contract, nothing. Bought it, sent it to him. And then there was 3 years I couldn't compete. So I was looking for a venue and trying to figure it out for when I could come back, if I were to come back. And he never did anything with it. It never turned into anything. I don't even think he lives here anymore.
But he paid you for it? Or
he paid me for it.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, I can't even find the guy. Nobody knows where he is. So I'm like, okay.
Database of like email lists and...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the standard. But see, I'm a data guy.
Yeah.
Right? So I learned my lesson the hard way. When I had Feel the Heat, we had 40,000 teenagers in a database that I just let go. Sold to Stephen Hu, actually.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what data... Like, can you imagine 40,000 teenagers? And I had their respect, and I threw the parties they loved. Their parents would pay me to come to their birthday parties just to say happy birthday, And can you imagine if I had followed them along their life journey? The homes, the cars, the trips, everything that they bought.
Yeah.
You just don't know, right? You didn't know back then, right? So with fear, I was like, I asked everybody every question under the sun, What are the 3 top purchases you make a year? And, everything, right? And so I have a lot of data. So when I sold the database, I said to him, you have to do you have to stay within regulations. You have to send it out, say, hey, we're the new owners. And if you want to opt in, opt back in, press this button. Yeah. Email never went out. Never used it. So I don't know if he's dead. Like, I honestly have no idea what the deal is, but it worked out, I guess, in the end.
And then, so you came back and you're like,
yeah,
all right, I'm just gonna take it.
Yeah, because now there's no,
no
I didn't break any contracts. I didn't do anything wrong, So I'm like, okay, I'll just continue on.
Talk to me about the story of Alex Hormozi and hosting his live event, the book launch.
The $1 million leads.
Yes.
Cool experience. One of the top 5 for sure. I had actually been talking to the studio that he did it at. I said to them, like, oh, this is Alex Hormozi guy. He's really good, and he's based out of Vegas. Like, you guys should get him into the studio, do some work with him. And it wasn't me that got him there, but he just showed up one day at the studio, apparently. It was like, hey, I want to do this thing. And so Larry, who is the sweetest human being on earth, Larry Smith at Worry Studios, calls me. He says, guess who we're going to be working with? I was like, what? No, that's awesome. So a few times I met with Caleb, who was like one of his employees, and we had a great rapport, great Zoom meetings and everything. And it was really funny because I won this contest, this business contest. So I had 3 years of Zoom meetings with Jordan Belfort. So those really prepared me for the meetings with Alex. Because I'll tell you, if I didn't have those under my belt, the meetings with Alex would have gone very different. Because those guys are hyper functional. Like, where most people are having we're having a conversation about one, or jumping from subject. They don't do that. They cover 6 subjects in every answer. So it's like, and I was not ready for it when I met with Jordan. Like, the first meeting with Jordan was terrible. I felt like he just railroaded me, but this meeting with Alex, so we got on and everything, and I could tell he was annoyed because I didn't know why he had the thing on his nose, so I asked him. He was a little annoyed by that, but it went well, and we shared some laughs, and we were like, hey, we're gonna work together, it's gonna be great, and it was a very complicated data project that had so many people. Like, the traffic was bananas. I was like, oh, how, it's gonna be interesting, because nobody really knew, or not even Alex really knew exactly how it was gonna go. He was really using the techniques in the book to prove the book could work with this event, which is a crazy concept, right?
Yeah.
So he did. So we worked on it. Went to Vegas. First time I met him was on his birthday, so I made sure to like bring some cheesecake with me and everything. Don't skip dessert. And I met Layla and Caleb and all these great people. He has this really cool crew of people. They're just really down to earth around him. And I remember he said, he was standing on stage and there was me, Larry, a couple other people, and Caleb and Layla. And Alex said, so you're saying everything should work. The only thing that might not work is things are beyond our control. And we all said, yeah, that's exactly right. Show day comes, and that's exactly what happened, right? One random guy in Amazon that didn't read the comments on a file for 12 minutes. And Alex was pissed. Layla was pissed. But after Alex, those Slack conversations between me and him in front of both of our staffs were tough.
Really?
Because I did not have enough data to tell him what went wrong. And this was the biggest thing he'd ever done to that point. So he was pissed. So he needed to, and this is human nature, he needed to place blame somewhere. He's like, just admit your software is bullshit. You know, and he's just coming, and I'm like, this is one of the biggest business influencers in the world. Like, if this guy hates me, Gary Vee hates me. And like, they're all, I'm done, you know? And so we finally, everybody did an exhaustive investigation. We figured out, it took us a while to figure out what happened. So the studio submitted the report to them, and they came back and just said, thank you. We're good. And I was like, good. They paid their bill. And they've been great ever since. And the thing I found very interesting about it was there wasn't any pomp and circumstance when it was all figured out. It was, we're all adults here. We know how human nature works. We know why Alex was mad. We know why you were probably cowering in a corner, you know. But none of that matters now. We figured it out. It's all good. And I was like, wow, this is so grown up. So not what it was like in the nightclubs. You know, if something goes wrong in nightclubs and people are blaming each other for like years afterwards. There are people still to this day where I've had things that went wrong. So one thing I'll tell you guys, I did this New Year's Eve. I'm allergic to latex. I'm doing this New Year's Eve party at Mystique, and nobody's around to help me. So I had to blow up 900 balloons.
As someone who's allergic to latex?
Yeah.
Nice.
And it was like a fairly new allergy for me, so I didn't really think it through. And I didn't realize that my lips were breaking apart, and I was literally blowing blood into these balloons. And my hands are starting to break apart, and I'm getting bloody handprints on these balloons, right? And so one of my partners came in and he's like, oh, you ruined New Year's Eve. And even though we had 900 people in a 400-person room that night, and it was bananas, it was one of the greatest New Year's Eves I've ever had, still to this day, he holds on to that. I'm like, really? Come on. You know, and like people that I figure I've fired about 5,000 people in my life. Not without cost. I try to be as fair as I can be, stealing from the till, you know, getting drunk on the job, those sorts of things, right? And those people still to this day, you know, and I'm like, that's the club business. It's just so immature.
Yeah.
Can't be in it anymore. But Alex is a real businessman. So is Layla's, and Layla's honestly, let's face it, she's the brains. He's the looks, although she's the looks too. But she's got it all.
Yeah.
But he's the face, and just her professionalism is so beyond anything I've ever experienced. It's just, you're in awe of it.
How so?
She is not dictated by emotion at all in business. If she's wrong, she can say, without crying, without trying to make you feel throw a pity party for anything, she can say, yeah, I was wrong. I apologize, and let's move forward. And that's just so hard for so many people to do, you know? And the genuine nature of those two, it's impressive. It's really impressive.
You've had the opportunity to be around many influential people.
Yes.
And, you know, had the success here as yourself as well. What would you say, like, some of the key traits that are common between all those people, including yourself?
So the first one's going to surprise the hell out of you. It's compassion. I know that sounds counterintuitive.
Sure.
So we did an event with somebody who is this guy, private jets and all these sorts of things, right? And we did everything right. One character in code broke the event when we launched it. One character. He might have lost 5 or 6 million that day because of that one character, right? And so he calls me, he says, come over to the house. I'm like, am I gonna die? Like, what's gonna happen to me, you know? Yeah. And so I get there, and he's sitting at his dining room table, and I'm walking up, and he puts his fist on the table, and he stands up, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, am I gonna have to fight this guy? This is really not gonna go well. And he just wraps his arms around me and starts hugging me. He says, it'll be okay. Damn. I was like, what? You know, and I was like, my knees got shaky. I was like, I said to him, I was like, I'm not here to die. And he's like, no. Yeah. He's like, these things happen on your way to the top. Yeah. It's just the way it is. He said, but the thing is, you've been dealing with people who have never reached the top. They just pretend to reach the top. He said, I'm at the top of where I'm at. I know, I've been you, so it's okay. It's like, holy shit. Like I remember that I left their place and I went to In-N-Out Burger and got 4 double-doubles because that's how I roll. And and I'm sitting in my vehicle and I'm eating my double-doubles and I'm like, I just was like almost in a trance. I'm like, I should be dead, you know, and it just made me realize I'm like, you know, people talk about billionaires and how they're heartless and they care about money. They just operate in a whole. It's honestly a different world that they're operating in. You know, his wife said to me one time, she's like, your truck breaks down, it's a $900 repair. My plane breaks down, it's a $90,000 repair. I have the same problems as you, just more zeros. Yeah. You know, and I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. It's so cool to like see it from that perspective, right?
Scale, yeah.
And they have stress too, and they have, you know, at the end of the day, we're all as healthy as we can be, but, you know, and yes, they have access to much better health resources than some people, but everybody's fragile, right? And they recognize it at a more intuitive level than we can possibly think of right now. You know, I see it in, you know, a lot of rich people pray, but they're not religious. They pray for the energy. They try to bring themselves into a headspace, and they use it to reinforce good in their lives and the things they have to hold on to. And I find that really interesting because I'm not a religious person, and but I know that there's some kind of energy out there, right? You know, and it's not necessarily that I pray, but I often think, like when I was sitting here planning it out, you know, I'm trying to visualize the good and not the bad and everything. And I feel like people that are at the top, they're just more in tune to that energy. They do not allow the negative thoughts to take over. Because this guy was almost bankrupt 7 years before I met him. He couldn't figure out how to afford his mortgage. One instance, one random event, like a hockey stick, you know? And it just, so I keep that in mind. That's the number one thing. Something else that I notice in people that have a lot of financial wealth is that a lot of them do not have personal wealth. They do not have, they're sad. A lot of them are very sad, you know, and they recognize too late. There was a Nicolas Cage movie back in the day, and he goes back in time. It's one of those things where he goes back in time and he picks the family instead of the business, and he realizes, oh, I'm so much better off. People make fun of that trope, but there's a reason why that movie is made every year at Christmas time. It's because it's a real thing. Those guys are sitting there at Christmas time in their giant houses with their 70-car garages and their, you know, and their dining room table that looks like that you could entertain the entire United Nations at it, alone with a whiskey, going, fuck, you know, and they don't even know how to get back to it. They have no idea, they're just lost. And that's kind of why when we were talking about balance and everything, like I'm really trying to figure that out because I don't want it to be too late for me too, right? Because like at the end of the day, when I'm 218 years old and on my deathbed, I want to have people around me and great memories and all that. I don't want to just think back to, yeah, I built that thing that people kind of used for a while.
Yeah, we had this debate internally as a team, I think 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And we're contemplating this idea of, yes, be like success driven, but ultimately have that purpose, right? Enjoy the greatest metaphor I've learned and listened to is that, yes, keep your foot on the gas, but look up once in a while and enjoy the view.
When it comes to the caveat though, every time you look up, you cost yourself some of that success.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I said you can't do both.
And actually, so it's crazy the way this worked out for me. So I wrote the book about how Sean and I met.
Yes.
But it's based on real life. It's a fictional book. The characters are Sienna and Beck. And Beck has a choice to make. And it's between that summit of success or successful enough and have the love of his life. Right? And so Beck learned the lesson in the book. This guy did not learn the lesson at the same time as him. Even though I wrote the damn book, I should have learned the lesson along with my character, but I didn't. You know, and it's cost me quite a bit actually. I'm just a little too late, but not too late that I can't do something about it. And I have come to peace with, I will not have a private jet as long as I've got these other X's in the checklist checked
So
off.
is that sacrifice worth it then?
100%. For me.
Right.
Some people, sounds like for you, probably not.
I don't know yet. I'm not there.
Yeah, I
I'm
guess,
not there.
you got to figure it out. You'll figure it out along the way.
You know?
But really just, you know, the number one thing I've learned in life is constantly take stock. I mean, every night when you go to bed, just run through what you like and what you don't like about your life and just say, what can I do to remove what I don't like? What can I do to bring more of what I like? And again, if you move that 1%, you know, if you're moving 1% in the way of what you like, you're moving away from what you don't. And 100 days later, you're 100% better in your life and happier and more joyful and everything. That's huge.
Yeah. So when people make it to the top and of what, you know, society views as ideal success, financial success,
They're so wrong.
they're so wrong.
They're so wrong.
Then why does everything come down to the life's basics? It's like have you heard the story of like the Mexican fisherman? Like the guy who goes on a business trip and then asks like the Mexican fisherman to take him on a fishing trip, and it's like, okay, well, why don't you fish more? And the fisherman goes, well, I just want to spend time with my wife and kids. He's like, well, if you fish more, you can employ your friends. You can start a tuna can business all this stuff. And then he's like, well, what's the point of it? He's like, well, at the end, you can just sit back, work whenever you want, fish, and go spend time with the family. And he's like, isn't that what I'm doing right now?
Oh, yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah.
And so
I hate fishing, but I get the analogy. Yeah, it's good.
And so it's like, well, what if you climb to the top and then you really just want to come down and say, I want to enjoy a glass of whiskey with my couple of friends and brothers at a table? I mean, what's the point of doing it alone?
My caveat to when he told me that story was, for the business person, that was their version of happiness. Of like, I want to keep building, I want to building. For that Mexican fisherman, his version was just fishing, right? They both had different views of what happiness or success meant to them. So not saying one's right, the other's wrong. They're just
There is no right and wrong.
They're just both on different paths.
Unfortunately, though, my caveat to that would be a lot of what people think they're supposed to do is marketing. It's consumerism.
Okay.
We are sold constantly this idea that if we just make a little more, we're going to be so much happier. We're going to get the model. We're going to get the car. We're going to get the house. We're just going to be walking out of our door every day like, yeah, baby, you know? And that's just not the case.
Okay.
Because like that couple I talked about,
Yeah.
they said, you did the same problems, just more zeros. And the problem is too, though, when you get super rich, is that everybody's trying to find a way to take it from you all the time. When you're moderately successful, everyone's like, good for you, man. You know? But, you know, you got billions in the bank and everyone's like, how can I take that shit?
Yeah.
Can I fall on the ice outside their house and make some money?
Oh my God.
Like, and it's like that all the time for them. They're always there's always some kind of stupid lawsuit coming at them.
Yeah.
So, you know, for much of my life, my dream was this really big existence. And then I met Shauna, and I'm like, my dream existence is just to have a home that we can come home to and lay down and have that feeling and, you know, go on some trips and do some writing, you know. Great, solve some problems in my job, leave my job. That's the thing that's really hit me since I got sick, is, you know, I want to have this life where I have something to come home to and I have the time to come home to it.
Are you able to talk about your health and
Sure.
what you're experiencing?
Yeah, sure. Which one? Because they kind of both go together, sort of. So what happened in 2016 is I used this German deadlift machine that I thought was a German squat rack. And there was a guy standing by who had a shirt on from the gym, but he was just wearing the shirt. I thought he was a gym employee. And it said, do not use this machine without supervision. So he says, oh yeah, just do this. So I get it going. And I go down, and I'm about to push up, and 400 pounds came down on me. And my spine, pop, 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 pop. My vertebrae, you could see it. My discs popping out of my back. And I drop down, and I get back up, and I'm like, whew.
You got back up.
Everyone's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I think I'm okay. I think I'm all right. My body's just in shock, right? So I go and I leave the gym and I get my usual 2 bowls at Chipotle and I go and I sit down, I'm eating them, and I start to get this fever. I'm like, oh, I don't feel very good. So I go to bed, wake up, can't move from the neck down. A little bit in my fingers, a little bit in my right arm. I'm like, oh no, now I'm in America. And I'm like, I can't get a hold of anybody at my insurance because I can't get to my phone.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't call anybody because this could cost me millions of dollars. I don't know what to do. I'd just come off of the political thing, right? So I'm like, this is crazy. Like, oh my God. So it takes me 3 days to wiggle myself over to my phone, finally get a hold of my insurance, find out I have insurance, right? But I do not have ambulance coverage, which is hella expensive down there. So it takes me a few days. I don't want to get into the gross specifics of these few days, but I finally wiggle myself down and I'm on my knees next to my bed with my face in my bed for like 12 hours because now I can't, I'm literally like willing myself to move. So I get and I start army crawling. I go to my vehicle, I get in my vehicle. I know, with a broken back. Go to the hospital. I get into so that I got lucky. As I park, there's this woman and this old man, and the old man had one of the hospital walkers. So they said, oh, you look like you're in pain. I'm like, oh, I'm in pain. So they gave me the walker, and I go in, and I pass out right in front of the security guard. Just out. Because now I'm just like, the pain is taken over. So they find my health card, realize I've got pretty much unlimited insurance. So they run every test imaginable on me, right? And ultimately turns into, I go from Florida to Vegas, do these stem cell treatments and everything, and I start to get better, I start to feel better. Came back, did Fear that year. My then girlfriend is carrying me to bed, because after I'd get home from Fear and I'd just collapse on the ground and just cry my eyes out. I was in so much pain, right? So she would pull me to bed, you know, and I would down a bunch of pain meds, go to Fear the next day and everything, but eventually it got better. So that was 2016 into 2017. Now they test for something, or they did test for something that we don't really test for here. It's called C-reactive protein levels. It's what controls the inflammation in our bodies. It's reactive to pain and trauma. Physical, mental, whatever. So my levels were elevated, but when I got transferred back to Canada, Canada doesn't test for it. or they don't look at it or whatever. So your C-reactive protein levels are supposed to be elevated for no more than 2 days. It's considered a health emergency. Go to the doctor, go to the hospital. That was 2016. December 30th, 2023, I get the phone call from the guy who I've been working for 2 years on my series funding. He goes, I think we got a deal. Come down late January, we'll make this happen. Great. My girlfriend and I go to celebrate New Year's Eve. I wake up January 1st, crick in my neck. As the day goes on, it just keeps getting worse. I'm keep getting stiffer, and I'm like staying like this, you know. Oh. And I was like, I think we can go home and watch some movies, put ice it, heat it, do the whole thing, and just kick this, and then I'll you know, because I got to be better for when I go down to Vegas. So January 4th, I go to get out of bed, and I can't use the left side of my body, and I realize my knee was like that, huge. Right? Like to the point where the skin was, I could see the skin stretching around, like it was gonna pop like a balloon. And I'm realizing I got no peripheral vision on my left side of my eye, and it's coming in as the hours are progressing. It's getting darker and darker, and I'm like, holy shit. So I call my dad, and I was like, oh, I think there's a problem. I think there's something wrong with me. So he picks me up, and like every breath is screaming agony. So I'm like, this can't be happening. Can't be happening. And in between those, every 2 years I was getting some kind of sickness, and there was always an explanation for it, some kind of med to use or whatever, and I'd have it for a couple weeks and it would go away. So anyway, so we get to Concordia Hospital, and the guy's like, I think you got cancer. And I'm like, oh fuck, because cancer's in my family, so that kind of makes sense. And then the next doctor's like, you don't got cancer. I'm like, well, for fuck's sake, right? So like, we're gonna send you to HSC, and they're gonna try to figure it out. So now I'm like, morphine drips, I'm like running on morphine, powered by morphine, right? But I'm still in ungodly amounts of pain. So I get to HSC, get transferred to HSC, I get stuck in the hallway for 4 days. And I'm breaking hospital beds, just holding onto the rails, screaming in pain, ripping the sides of the hospital bed. That's how much pain I was in. And then, so they're just basically dumping pills down my throat to get me to try to feel any better, right? Mm-hmm. So, but the good thing is that I'd be in so much pain I'd pass out regularly, so for a couple hours, right? Because my body would just give out. So this neurologist happens to be walking past my hospital bed, and she sees my eyes, and she stops. She's on her way out of work. She decides to stay, bring me in, and a series of crazy things happened in there, and they were like, there's something really wrong with you, we just can't figure it out. So where the breakthrough came from was, and we can get into hallway medicine, HSC, and all the horrible experiences I had, and the fact that I got high on crack for the first time ever in HSC, secondhand, crazy story, but we'll stick to the health side of things. So they transferred my file to Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic gets a hold of my file from 2016 and says, just curious, can you test to see reactive protein levels? Well, 4 is death, I'm 5, right? So then Mayo pulls my files from my checkups from the stem cell clinic and all that. I'm like, this guy's C-reactive protein levels, CRP levels, have been elevated to death levels since 2016. It's 2024. Not supposed to be elevated for longer than 2 days. So, and it was all the stress. It was the stress of running this business, COVID, the fire, all this stuff, right? It was just too much. I, on the surface, was handling it like a boss, I felt like I was like, I'm the ultimate stress handler here. But underneath, it was killing me. So the C-reactive protein levels just kind of like wrecked my body, and I got a crazy infection in my brain. And then that led to this horrible, debilitating temporary arthritis throughout my body, which they said it would take a long time for me to come back from. I sold my company, used the proceeds from that to speed that up, to get it healthy within a year. So I'm pretty good now. I still have a little bit of stiffness every so often, but I think that's just everybody, to be honest. And my body's been through a lot over the years, so I'm just accepting that as regular life. So that was the sickness. That's the story. So I was on 12 pills a day, or 12 pills every 4 hours for like 6 months. Morphine, all kinds of medications. I was like out of my mind. If I wasn't in pain, I was heavily medicated. You know, my girlfriend and I went on a few trips, and like I kind of remember most of them. I'm glad she is like, take selfie, take pictures, take video, because like some of that stuff I don't remember at all. But it's like I was barely surviving for like a good 8 months. I could barely figure out how to get. There are days I went in the bathroom, I'm like, I should just kill myself. Like, this is too much. Like, this pain is ridiculous. It was head to toe.
Yeah.
And, you know, the doctor said to me, he's like, you are in the most pain that a human body can handle without giving up. Well, what are you supposed to do with that for 8 months, right? Now, I never obviously did it,
Yeah.
but I can see why I have a lot more sympathy for people with arthritis and people that have mental health issues and contemplate suicide or commit suicide, because it's just such a dark place to live in for so long. And all you want to do is get better. All you want to do is be the boyfriend to your girlfriend or be the son to your mother or whatever, but you can't. You just physically can't do it. And I had never ever considered limitations until 20. Even when I broke my back, I was like, they told me to like, that's it. You're not walking anymore. I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go figure it out. You know, and I did.
Yeah.
So then that made me even more blusterous, right? I'm like, I can handle anything.
Yeah.
And then this came, and I was like, oh. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not Superman. Shit.
Did that give you a different perspective on life?
Oh yeah. That's probably what allowed, that's where the real seek of balance came from.
Yeah.
When you went to death.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, again, another extreme I had to go to figure it out when, you know, I've always said, like, it sucks we don't have a guidebook, right? But would we even listen to the guidebook if we had one? Probably not.
I don't look at the instructions when I build IKEA.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like, that's a leg, or it could be, you know, a stool. I don't know, whatever. I'll put it together and figure it out. But yeah, no, that's where you know, I've seen death's door. I've knocked on it, and I've opened it, and I've almost stepped through. And it's like, I had a lot of great experiences, but a lot of it was work. And I was like, I don't know that should be the sum of me, you know?
Is a part of you just wanting to open all the doors in life?
Oh yeah.
It's like, I just want to see what that is.
Yeah, you've seen, what's that TV show, the one where he goes through all the doors. He gets into a multi-dimension and there's just doors, just endless doors. It's a different...
Monsters.
No.
There's a bunch of doors in Monsters.
I don't know. I don't watch cartoons. But good for you.
Spider-Man coming or what?
No, it's oh my god. I wish I could think. Oh, not Three Body Problem.
Blue's Clues.
Man, do you guys watch any like character-driven TV or just cartoons?
I don't watch a TV at all.
Okay, all right. It's a Netflix series. This guy finds a way to open a door,
Sure. Okay.
and it's a hallway of all the doors to all the dimensions, and he can just walk through them and do.
Yeah.
That's how when I
Squid
watched
Games?
that show. No. Well, it's good that you pick something live action.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel. Yeah, I'm like, I see a door and I want to open it. It's really funny because I did a video for Fear when I'm down in the sub-level, and I said, if you watch if you watch horror movies, you know this is a door you're not supposed to open, right? And there's me. I'm like, you know, it's just that, you know, if there's a monster on the other side, I'm just going to start throwing, you know, that's just the way it is. More often than not, there's not a monster, so.
Jeff Bezos says this thing about business, which you can equate to life as well, but he said there's two types of doors. There's a one-way door and a two-way door. So two-way door is you open it, we're going to try it. If it doesn't work, we'll walk right back. You know, we'll try this marketing thing, we'll try this blah, blah thing. It doesn't work, no worries, we'll come right back. There's some doors which are one-way, which if we commit to this, if we do this, there's no coming back to that.
100%. Yeah, I've been through a lot of those doors. Yeah.
What's, in all your thing, what's one of the one-way doors that you were like, this is the one that I walked through?
Vegas.
Trying
to come back from the fire and COVID and all that. Yeah. That was there was no walking back through that door. If I took that step, if I didn't take that step, we were done. If I took that step, we were probably done.
So you had one way, yeah.
Yeah, one way. The selling in Credivent and using all that to get better, that was a one-way door. There was no returning from that decision once I made it. I lost all the staff I've relied on for 10 years and developed multiple projects and all that, right?
The staff were like they still worked for the.
That
the
was a
company
big
that
crush.
you
That was a major piece of the deal. I
Yeah.
said, you got to take the staff.
Well, is that because you just were compassionate about?
Well, I just felt like these people had given, they were like I had a unique team in that most of the people in that office I trained from not knowing anything about what they were doing to the point where they were running it. So I felt like to abandon them at that point and just like take my dollars and run. It was just a shitty thing to do. Yeah. So that was a big one-way door. I could argue that the political thing was a one-way door too. The whole running, that was stupid, and I shouldn't have opened that door, and I knew it, but I did it anyways because I just believed in people I shouldn't have believed in. There was no coming back from that decision. So I've had a lot of one-way doors. Yeah.
Is there one piece of advice that you would have given yourself that you would have listened to?
No, I wouldn't have listened.
No.
I am a person, I was a late bloomer in life, and I'm a person that has to learn through experience.
Do we all have to do that, or is there a...
No, there's some very smart people out there that can figure it out without having to do it. Yeah, no, I have a friend who's, he's like that. He's just, yeah, he ended up going from, so check this out, okay? This guy, Cliff, he went through all of grade school, high school, graduated, 100% average the whole way through. Went to work for NASA, right? Great life. And he did that because he was able to look and say, no. So now I was able to do it sometimes. Smoking, for example, right? My cousin was like, you gotta smoke, it's a cool thing to do, right? So 12-year-old me, he's like, just down that cigarette. Now it turns out I'm allergic to nicotine, but that was an analogy I developed later. But I took a puff of it, and I was like, I don't know if you guys smoke, and you do, sorry, but I was like, this is stupid. Like, this doesn't make sense. Yeah. I'm inhaling chemicals into my body, which definitely don't naturally process this shit. What? Yeah. This isn't a good, do you think this is what I should be doing at 12 years old, my 16-year-old cousin? Yeah. So, and I just put them down, never did it again. Yeah. Drinking, another one. I looked at it, I was like, okay, all my dad's friends have beer bellies, so no beer. I don't want to have a belly. It seems like every couple that drinks fights. Don't want to do that. Then I was in the bars, and I'm watching people do stupid shit that they would never do when they're sober. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, this reinforces it. So I've never really drank. Things like that, I've been able to figure it out pretty quickly, but the holy shit things in life have taken some holy shit moments to figure them out, for sure.
Well, one piece of personal advice I want to ask you is, because we heard this thing from Regan Tran, who's been on the podcast before, on Swish Barbershop, but he said something about chasing too many rabbits. Oh. So if you chase too many rabbits, you'll never catch any of them.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on, since you've done so much things in your life, in terms of going all in on one thing versus chasing too many rabbits? Is that a thing?
It depends who you are when you start. Okay. If you are the guy that can build a lot of cages, you can catch a lot of rabbits. Okay. But if you're starting with very small resources, you got to focus in on the thing that you have. I say you have to have focus on something you have a natural aptitude in, that you feel desire to do no matter when it gets tough, and that you really like learning more about. Focus on that thing, because that's going to be the thing. And I think a lot of people don't connect those three dots. So yes, they're going to constantly be running around. Oh, I want the rabbit, Yeah. But it's one of those things there's probably 200 breeds of, I'm just throwing a number out there, of rabbits. Sure. Learn about that one breed, and you'll catch that rabbit in seconds. But again, if you start out with resources in life, just build really big cages.
Never thought that. From all your experiences, going to the extreme, looking death in the face, and saying "fuck you." Yeah. Do you have any regrets?
I have a few very distinct regrets in life. My first regret is that when I lost that $10,000 plus on my first show, I borrowed that money from my grandma and I never got to pay her back before she died. That hurts me to this day. I have a regret that I didn't figure out the balance thing before now, right? This is a fairly new development in my life, and it almost cost me everything. And my other regret would be probably, I don't want to sound, because it needs to come with context. My other regret would be the number of lies I've told in my life. And again, I come back to the fact that I learned that behavior trying to avoid bad situations. And then that behavior was rewarded because so many people, that's their natural operating system setting, is just bullshit your way through. And what happens is when you're living that, because if you lie enough, you live this fictitious life. You create this alternative you, and you're not living by your truest self. And you can't possibly do well in life when you're doing that, because or you become a politician. But for most people, you can't possibly live a good life because you don't even know what you want anymore, because you're so busy trying to convince people you want what you should want, right? So those are probably my 3 regrets. I don't have a lot of regrets. I had to confront that, right? When I was thinking, I thought for a good little bit there in 2024, I was gonna die. And I was like really thinking, I was like, who do I gotta call to apologize to and stuff like that? You know, I wanted to clean the slate, right?
Did you make some calls?
I didn't, because I realized to myself, I was like, I made those calls already. I did that work. There were a few people I was like, should I call? And I really thought it through. I was like, no, you know what? We did each other dirty, and they're still dirty. So there's no point in the call. But no, I didn't make any calls because I'd come to the conclusion in 2019 when the fire happened. I was like, why does all this shit keep happening to me? Like, come on, fake insurance? That guy had a suit and a PowerPoint presentation.
It gotta be real.
It's got, like, what is going on here? Who would ever think that?
How do you think of that?
Yeah. So, and I was like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem here.
That's a good point.
You know? So I was like, what do I gotta change? What do I not like? I'm gonna look in the mirror right now. What in this reflection is a dark demon? And I just spent the time and I just fixed it, you know, because you got to. I mean, we all have stuff. I have stuff still to this day. I'm working on something right now, and I'm starting to see now that I've acknowledged it and I'm working on it. I'm seeing how good my life is becoming as a result of just dealing with it, instead of putting my head in the sand and being like, oh, it's just part of my personality. It's a quirk.
Yeah.
It's not a quirk. It's a shitty way of living, you know?
Do you think we truly get rid of them, though? Like, there's that analogy of, like, we all carry baggage, and it's not like your bags get lighter. You just get stronger to be able to carry more bags.
Yeah, that's true.
So I relate that to, maybe it's not that we truly let go. It's just that we've maybe just pushed them down far beyond the archives of our brain.
Well, that's what I'm trying not to do.
Yeah.
So I lived my whole life pushing things down, right? Getting stronger to carry those bags. And then I got so many bags now, I don't even know what the hell is in each one, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I've been working on for, you know, we'll say 5-6 years, 8 years max, right? Is opening those bags and be like, okay, what's in here? Oh shit, that thing.
Right.
Okay, let's deal with it. You know, Shauna has been an eye opener to me. She's lived a very conventional life. She went to school. She met a guy. She got married. She had kids. She became a nurse out of college. She's 20 years as a nurse. She's a great mother. Built this beautiful home. She's got a conventional but beautiful life, right? And she's a genuinely good person. And I for sure had imposter syndrome when we met. Like after our first date, I was like, should I even be dating this person? Like, I don't know if I'm good enough for this person. And that's why I was like, oh, this is the person for me. Because I've never asked myself that question, right? I was, when I was in the clubs, I was a serial dater. I dated a lot of people, a lot of women. And it wasn't because I was trying to be a player or anything. It's just, I was always trying to find that person. But I was not ready for that person because nobody ever made me ask that question. You know, how can I be good enough to be with her? So, you know, at the end of the day, life comes down to your choices. And you're either moving in the right direction or you're moving in the wrong direction. You're either Clark Kent or you're Lex Luthor, right? Lex Luthor didn't become, I don't know if you got, I'm a big Superman geek, but if you saw the TV show Smallville, Lex Luthor didn't start out as Lex Luthor. Started out as a genuinely good guy with a shitty father, right? And he just he kept making the wrong choice. He kept picking power over love and, you know, money over contentment and all these things, right? And eventually he took down the Fortress of Solitude and tried to kill Clark, you know? And that's kind of how I look at things. That's why my email is Lex Kent, one of my emails, because it's like, I recognize that we all have both of that in us, and it's just, you just got to move in the right direction. Whatever that direction is for you, there are people that genuinely believe that the Lex Luthors in the world are needed. A few of them are in power right now. And it's like, you know, you can't tell them that anything they're doing is wrong, because to them, it's just not. What you're doing is wrong. You're living a life of love? What kind of lame ass shit is that? You know, that's what they think. And honestly, there's a point in my life where I was like, what kind of lame ass shit is that? I definitely did. I was like, it was all about power and money and all that. I was, you know, but at the end of the, that was one thing that I was like, okay, I have to pick a path. And if the people don't have that conversation with themselves, you're never going to get anywhere in life.
Jay, is there a part of the story that we're missing that we haven't covered today that would make people know who you are? We've covered a lot, you know.
We have.
Thanks
I
for
think we
sharing.
said it was going to be an hour, right? But I like these kinds of conversations because they're so organic. Right?
Is there a part of the story that we're missing, that a really defining moment or something that maybe might not be defining in the world's eyes, but was defining for you?
Okay, I got something. You guys ever watch those clips from AGT?
Yeah, like America's Got Talent?
Yeah. They're so good, right?
Like just of the talent?
Yeah, somebody comes out on stage and they're super shy or whatever. They're going through something.
Did you win America's Got Talent?
No. They belt it out and everyone's like, oh my God, say golden confetti, all that.
Golden buzzer,
I have never had that moment in my life where I felt like everything is clicking and everybody's seeing it click and I feel it click and like I'm at one with, you know, like I feel like I've led a pretty good life and I've done a lot of really cool things, but it almost feels like sometimes the world is kind of ignoring me. I don't know if that sounds right. And sometimes it pisses me off. Like one thing that really bothered me was the nurses were getting nowhere in this province with their contract negotiations. And I went hard at the PC government. I mean, there are conversations I had that would make people's skin crawl, right? And I did that because I knew the value of having a good nursing staff in Manitoba. And when it all was done, it's not like I was looking for people like, good job, way to go, buddy, you know, but it was like, it would have been nice if someone had been like, thanks, you know, and I think that's what's missing. I think thanks is what's missing from my story. And I'm not asking for thanks, it's just that golden buzzer moment where it's like, okay, this has affected people. So I guess that's what it's missing. I'm missing that knowing that it's something I have done when I'm, as Alex says, when you turn to dust and nobody remembers you 100 years from now. But when somebody picks up in your story and says he did that and that made the world a better place, I'm missing that. that's the piece that's missing from my story that I really am hoping I can write at some point.
Jay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been a great interview. I enjoyed it.
Jay, last question for you today.
No.
Last question.
I just said thanks to them.
Okay.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
For the dreamers out there that have listened to your story and want to achieve their dream, what is your advice to them?
Only listen to the people that have done the thing or is close enough to the thing that you're trying to do as possible. Do not listen to anybody else. I mean anybody else. I don't care if they're your parent, your spouse, your, anybody. Everybody has an opinion, and everybody these days is an expert in everything. Just, if you have those 3 things that I talked about before that allow you to be probably good at something, just go. Just don't let the people go, well, you got $20,000 in the bank and that thing's gonna cost you $7,000. This may not be the smartest thing. Maybe you want to think it through. Or your boys that are still stuck in their drinking stage or whatever, right? There's always gonna be somebody, and I find a lot of people look for those people, right? And so that they don't have to do it. They can let themselves off the hook, right? So if you're dreaming, first of all, verify, validate that dream, make sure you got those 3 things, and then just go full tilt and only listen to the people that have actually done it.
Jay, thank you so much.
No problem, man.
And thank you for letting us share your story and come into your temple. Jay, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if you haven't already, check them out. Until next time, peace.
Hey, there we go.